Mr. Primetime, 3 weeks in a row,
Line them up.
3 similar results. This is as bad as it gets, man. Like this, there is nothing. You know what the worst part about all this is? I'm not going to rant, I promise. It's not even fun, dude. Like it's not even watchable. Like you sit there and you're just disgusted, and it's like there's not any remote kind of enjoyment out of it because everything is bad. The coaching, the quarterback, the offense, the defense, like the whole game experience is miserable. Right? There's not like when you walk away from a game and there's not one positive to say, hey, you know what? Like we took nothing away from this game other than an ass beating and embarrassment, more questions than answers. And now you're like, well, now what do we do? Like you walk away and the worst thing is you got to watch this bullshit in 4 more days. Like it's not even fun, dude. Like it's not fun being a fan right now. Like, right? Like, do you sit there like, I don't want to wear one piece of fucking Jets clothing. I don't want to see a Jets sticker. I don't want to see a T-shirt, a book, a mat. Like I want no Jets shit near me because I hate it.
What's awful is that the anger has just turned to complete apathy, at least for me at this point, where during the game, I don't get mad anymore. I'm not throwing shit. I'm not cursing. I'm completely apathetic to just how bad they are. Like you don't feel anything. It's completely.
I feel plenty, dude. Because you know what?
After the game is where I get pissed off. During the game, I don't give a shit. Like
I can't take it. I can't take it
after the game. I get pissed off looking back at how we are just completely ruining our quarterback. And listen, I know what you're going to say. I know what a lot of people are going to say. You know, stop apologizing for Sam. He played awful today. Okay, we can start with that. He played awful today. But you know what? To ignore what this organization has done to him, the situation that they have put him in, working with these wide receivers, without his starting right tackle now, without his starting left tackle, as bad as he was, they have themselves to blame. He is regressing, but is it?
He's damaged goods now. Let's just call it what it is. Like
3 games in, we're saying that?
He's damaged goods. They've damaged him now. They've damaged him now where he can't. Yeah, three bad games in where he looks fucking lost. Like that one great touchdown throw he makes weekly doesn't overcome all the other shit he's doing wrong. Like he's doing things wrong. He's not a consistent quarterback. In this year, he's not getting better. He's getting worse. He's making bad decisions. He's making bad throws.
And why is
dude,
that?
I don't give a fuck why it is. It's just a fact. Like he's not playing well, dude. And it's a problem. And you know what the problem is? Nobody here on this staff can fix him. So now you have another year of him getting worse, and now we're screwed. The decision to hire Adam Gase set back this organization 5 years, ruined Sam Darnold's career because now he's a reclamation project now. He's got all the talent in the world. He's a reclamation project from his arm to his head to his eyesight. They completely fucked him up, dude. Like he is just, do you see him? He's lifeless. He doesn't know what he's seeing. He doesn't know where he's throwing. He can't even read the goddamn defense. He's like a one-read guy. He's going back to like almost Sanchez in his last few years of the Jets, making like these terrible interceptions in the end zone. Like the Jets have ruined him. They've ruined him.
I think ruined is a strong word. To deny that he's regressing would be foolish. He's absolutely regressing. Watch the film towards the end of the Jeremy Bates Todd Bowles year. It's a fact that he's regressing. He's going backwards. He's making stupid decisions. We can call it like it is. But why is that happening? Why is that happening?
He's got to take the blame too, man. Listen, you can blame Gase, you can blame Loggins, you can blame Douglas.
He's under pressure on every play. He's putting so much pressure on himself every play to do something.
And he can't do it. He's not doing it. He's not performing.
And for every throw that he misses or stupid decision that he makes, you have another guy like Griffin dropping a pass. You have a busted coverage or an offensive lineman not picking up their guy on a blitz. How much of this falls on Sam?
It's an entire organizational problem. Joe Douglas didn't help Sam. Adam Gase didn't help Sam. Chris Johnson didn't help Sam. The fucking receivers aren't helping him. All these hurt linemen aren't helping him. Everybody's failing everybody. But the problem is he's becoming damaged goods now. Now when you say the next guy wants Sam Darnold, well, we got to fix this. We got to fix this. We got to fix this because there's so many things going wrong. Now he's trying too hard. It's all this shit. It's a comedy of just disaster here. It's a comedy of errors now. And listen, I'm a Sam Darnold fan. Like, I like Sam Darnold. I'm one of his biggest supporters. And I hate Adam Gase. And I hate Darrell Loggins. But I'm seeing things now out of Sam, like, you know what, dude? Like, I don't need to be seeing this shit anymore. If you can't read, it's one thing if he's throwing rockets everywhere and everybody's dropping passes. That's fine. If he's making all the right reads and things aren't working out well, where you can see the receiver went the wrong way and whatever. But, dude, he's missing wide open guys. He's making bad decisions. His footwork is going to shit. His fundamentals are going to shit. And there's analysts even proving that. They're even saying it. So if you're a Jets fan now, and we're honestly saying we don't have questions about Sam, you're lying, because we all do now, because you worry about what will it take to get him to playing at a franchise quarterback level. What can we do to get him there? And is it even possible?
Having those questions are fine, but running him out of town, like it seems like a lot of people are doing, and jumping on the tank for Trevor talk, I still think that's ridiculous to do that.
No, you know what's ridiculous?
To do that to a 23-year-old quarterback?
You want to know what's fucking ridiculous? That goddamn report this morning from Chris Mortensen. This goddamn team can't get out of their own way. Because you know what, dude? Why have these little stories circulate? Why don't you act like a big boy organization? And they should have fired him last week, like a real organization. But they haven't. They're just too stupid to do that. So now you already have a bad situation, and you're going to leak out this story to have a lame duck coach and have even a worse performance on the field. Why create more drama? Either you want your fucking coach or you don't. Either you fire him or you keep him. Don't play the media game, because we're already embarrassing ourselves.
I agree.
We're already there.
No, I agree. It looks stupid, but
leaking stories. It's like this is a jackass organization. They are so goddamn clueless.
Today and Thursday was his last chance.
I've had it. I can't take anymore.
I was gonna say today and Thursday, his last chance to get the players to buy in. And judging by the effort today, everything we saw, how could you say that? Especially on the defensive side. He's the coach of the whole team. The same reasons we ran Todd Bowles out of town, Rex Ryan out of town. You don't get a pass when the defense plays like shit. You coach
Greg
the whole
Williams
team.
gets no pass. Williams gets no pass either. This shit's embarrassing.
Everyone played like shit. Everyone looked uninspired. They can't tackle. They can't do anything. They can't rush the passer. They didn't lay a hand on Phillip Rivers until the third quarter. They have nothing on both sides of the ball.
Nothing.
It's a joke.
It's unwatchable. It's completely unwatchable. And everybody's to blame. There's not one facet. Like, I was trying to think of the last time I actually watched a game. Like last week, we said, you know what? Becton played good. Quentin Williams played good. We left this game with not one positive at all. Now we have Becton is hurt. It's even worse. Now you left tackle, and Connor McDermott came in. He was lost. I guess if you give anybody credit, it's McGovern for playing center, which we all thought he wasn't going to play. I'll give him credit for showing up. I mean, Doga was average. I mean, if you want to call him that. It's terrible. It's just terrible. And the biggest thing, the only thing we focused on going into the season was the offense and the quarterback. And now the offense is a disaster. There are no answers. And I'm telling you right now, it is only it's probably one more bad game away, especially now that he's getting healthy, until Flacco starts playing. Because Gase is going to bench that. Gase is going to bench Darnold, dude. I'm telling you, you should see it from a mile away.
He should not be allowed to.
Why? It's his team.
Why should he be allowed to make that decision?
He's the head coach.
Oh, fuck it.
Now I can tell you the head coach can't bench his quarterback? Since when?
So we're going to allow him to put blame on Sam?
Who's we? Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him?
Somebody should. You're going to allow Joe Flacco to start?
You don't. Do you think if Sam has another terrible game and Joe Flacco's healthy,
you
that Adam Gase will
before you let him bench your quarterback?
I agree with that. But I guarantee you that if they're still, this is all still going on, because let's be honest, we all want Adam Gase fired tomorrow. It's not going to happen. They're not going to fire him on a short week. There's no way they're going to do that. Because that's just irresponsible. Because there's too much in a short week to get everybody organized. And also, they can't do it. You could do it Friday morning and have a nice long week to fix things. I'm telling you, dude, if he plays badly again and Flacco's healthy, Adam Gase would be like, you know what? We got to do this. Let Sam sit and watch Flacco run my office. Maybe he can learn some things, and then we'll bring him back in.
Let's be honest. Let's just be honest for a second. The Jets have 3 touchdowns on offense this year. 2 of them were on busted plays where Sam made it happen with an extended scramble, throwing on the run, not because of a Gase play call. The other one, Sam audibled on one of the rare occasions that he's allowed to audible at the line of scrimmage. So we don't have one Gase drive that set up a touchdown yet.
Yeah, but how many throws did he miss? I mean, I'm not listening. I'm listening. I understand. I understand Gase is the problem. Like, I understand.
Again, he has to be perfect on every single play. That's what we're asking.
No, he doesn't. He needs to be consistent.
We're asking him to be perfect on every single play.
No, we're asking him to be consistent. Hit wide open guys. Let's not believe in Sam Darnold here.
He's been practicing
with the NFL, dude. It's the NFL. Make plays.
To Lawrence Cager, Josh Malone, Braxton Berrios.
It doesn't matter if it's Julio Jones or Hogan. If you're open, throw the ball and let them drop it. Stop making excuses for them. If they're dropping passes, 80 passes a game, it's one thing. If you're missing wide open receivers, it's the quarterback's fault.
And again, on those plays.
Throwing the triple coverage is whose fault? It's Adam Gase's fault. Is Adam Gase actually throwing the football now too?
No, absolutely. He needs to put that ball in his pocket and take the sack. No, I'm agreeing with you. He needs to put that ball in his pocket and take the sack. The problem is those are his choices. Take the sack, get hit, run for his life.
He's missing open receivers. He's not making the easy throws, and he's probably trying too hard.
And those are the ones that we highlight. Absolutely.
It's just
early on in the game, he was what, like 10 for 14 or something like that. He looked okay aside from that first pick. He had a great bounce back drive, got the game even up at 7-7. The offense was
besides the first pick, it's a pick six.
Listen, I agree. I
that
agree.
one in the end zone was even worse.
And again, who was he throwing to?
It doesn't matter, dude.
It does matter, though.
It's complete the pass. If the receiver in the end zone dropped it, okay, fine. Then you know what? Sam did his job. Now you're saying because he's throwing it matters who the receiver is. So now it matters who he's throwing the interception there. So if that was Brandon Marshall there and the ball intercepted, that makes it better. It's a bad read and a bad throw. That falls on the quarterback, not the receiver.
Listen,
I'm not buying this shit, man. Gase, we could blame Gase up and down and backwards. The offense, the Jets have damaged Sam, and Sam is playing damage now. He's not playing well. And we moved the ball. I'm not saying that we moved the ball. Like we have to have higher standards than that.
And I agree. I'm not saying anything that you're saying is wrong here. But again, there's a fine line between trying to run Sam out of town and actually holding him accountable for individual mistakes.
Well, how are we running him out of town?
Taking into account what he's working with. We're talking about starting Flacco, tank for Trevor.
I'm not saying start Flacco. I'm not saying start Flacco. I'm telling you what this jackass coach is going to do.
And we don't let him do that. We shouldn't let him do that.
That's on your general manager or your owner. They have no fucking clue what they're doing.
But when the media paints a picture that this is all on Sam Darnold, what do you think is going to happen? We're allowing Gase to make that decision.
No, if anybody has any kind of brain, if you have a brain as a fan, you say Adam Gase is a problem. The offense is a problem. Another problem, you could have three problems, is Sam is not playing well and has to play better. That can all happen at the same time. Like Sam could be bad and Gase could be bad. That could both be true today. And that was true today. They were both bad today.
No, yeah.
So it's not an indictment saying, you know what, Sam, so at some point we got to say you had a very bad game, and now there's 3 games that haven't been that good. Last week was a little bit better. Like our standards are so low for Sam now. When they get a first down, we're celebrating. So he throws a great broken play touchdown, wonderful. After that, he throws terrible interceptions. Well, newsflash, those interceptions offset that touchdown. Now it's like, what are you doing in between that? Are you consistently making throws? What else are you doing there? He's not doing that. And that's for a litany of reasons. Some his fault and some Gase's fault. But now the problem is, how do you fix it? And the problem is they're not going to fix it this year. And that's an enormous problem. Because he could actually be getting worse the rest of this year.
That's why you fire Gase as quick as possible. I know it's not going to happen this week on the short week, but after Thursday, if you lose to Denver, that's the time to do it.
They're going to beat Denver. Denver sucks. That's the problem.
If it's a close game, or if the offense doesn't show up again, under 20 points again, another double-digit loss, which would be the 10th in 12 Adam Gase losses, you have to do it.
What you have to do is, as an organization, you have to have in your mind going into Thursday night's game, we're going to fire him win or loss. Like we've seen enough at this point where we can't tolerate this anymore. Like beating an 0-3 Denver team is not sufficient enough to keep this guy. I mean, like, that's fine. Like, just do something. Like, have it in your mind. Listen, no matter what happens here, we've seen enough from this offense, the coach. Like, I don't even know what happened to the defense. Like, I don't know what happened to Henry Anderson and Quinnen Williams and McClendon and Nathan Shepard and all these guys we touted. That front seven was embarrassed. Like, how do you have a running play, a regular running play that goes 10 yards? We saw 80 last week. 10-yard running play untouched. Like, how does that happen?
There is no leadership on the defense. You know why? The 2 biggest leaders that we had that spoke up during the week, Avery Williamson, Bradley McDougald, where were they today? Getting roasted in coverage,
that effort on the goal line? Dude, that's McDougald. I've seen that from McDougald. He can shut the fuck up now. Like, after that effort on the goal line and you kind of olayed that, take care, dude.
I was told that we don't pay box safeties, that they're not impact players.
McDougald, that was terrible.
That's what we got to replace Jamal.
And the one thing is, Marcus Coleman, the former Jet, he's like a coach now, like a football coach now. He's even saying these guys don't want to tackle. Like there's guys that don't want to tackle. They don't want to be out there. They're collecting checks. And this goes back to the point I made last week, dude. Not to say I'm always right, but
Desir can go.
Desir can fuck off too. But the other thing too is, dude, there's no accountability. There's no leadership. There's no fear of playing poorly and some kind of action happening for it. Like, you could play like shit, you're playing the next series. Nobody's getting benched. Nobody's getting held accountable. Nobody's getting cut. Nobody's getting suspended. Nobody's inactive. There's no punishment for playing poorly. You know why? Because they justify it. We have too many injuries. Woe is me. Woe is me. Woe is me. They justify losing. The owner did it. He did it 2 weeks ago, and he called this guy a genius, and it trickles down. And now their whole culture now is losing and accepting it. That's what they become now.
And you heard it in the press conference after the game, too. Gase's press conference today, it sounded identical to last week. We got to look at film. We'll get it right. We got to we got to execute better. It was the same exact thing. It is so clear at this point. He doesn't have any answers. He does not have any answers left.
He doesn't. And the thing is, it took a while for him to say how do you fix this? We have to do this. For a while, it was red zone execution. We've got to do this. Like he must have dwelled on that Darnold interception in the end zone probably about 10 times in like his first 4 answers. Like we get it, dude. But you know what? There's a whole other part of this game, and what people tend to forget, and this is the problem I have with the way Adam Gase coaches his team, is he's not responsible for the defense. So right now he's getting a pass for how bad a defense is playing. Everybody's blaming Greg Williams. But as a head coach, you manage both sides of the football here. And so now I almost want to ask, well, not me, what the fuck am I going to ask? But you almost want somebody in the press conference to say, listen, your defense is awful this year. Like just as bad as your offense has been, your defense is arguably worse. And, what happened? Why aren't they tackling? What are you doing to make this better? Because he's going to say, well, let Greg Williams do it. Well, tell us what you're doing. Because as a head coach, you tell Greg Williams, man, start benching guys. We want better effort. Right?
No,
he has to manage the whole team.
No, like I said earlier, that's
what I'm so pissed.
Like I said earlier, that's part of the reason we drove Rex Ryan out of town. We drove Todd Bowles out of town because they were one side of the ball, and the one side that they did, eventually wasn't even that great. And then the other side, they tried to pass it off to somebody else. Well, again, is he going to hold Greg Williams accountable? How can you do that when you didn't hold Frank Pollock, your offensive line coach, accountable last year? And he's still coaching. You still have Darnold Loggins here as your puppet. Like, if you're not holding anybody accountable on the offensive side of the ball, how do you do it on the defensive side of the ball where you're hands off?
Yeah, and it was so funny. They showed Darnold Loggins on the screen like offensive coordinator. He's got nothing in his hands, dude. He's standing there like this. He's twiddling his thumbs like this, and you see Gase holding like all these 13 papers. Like, yep, that's our coordinator. Jackass.
Ridiculous.
So let's see. I think I went through all the notes. I mean, it's just you try to come up, after the game and do a show here and talk about the game. And like, dude, I'm so angry because it's 3 non-competitive losses. And now we have to go through all this. And the last thing you want coming to the season is exactly what we have now in Sam Darnold. That's the biggest problem you're going to have now. Because now it's the biggest problem we're going to have. And I have no faith in Joe Douglas. And I have no faith in Chris Johnson to handle this correctly. I have none at all. 0.
94-37.
Yeah.
In 3 games.
Outscored 3 games. The defense, the defense is horrendous.
All you need to know. And let's talk about the clock management at the end of the first half. You get the ball. You get the ball back with 2:18 left, and you call 3 or 4 running plays, giving the Colts the ball back. Again, I know they missed the field goal, but
no. He called the pass play where you should have called a running play to force him to take a timeout. That almost blew up in his face too. Gase's time management is horrendous, dude. Like the problem is we've been getting blown out every week. He can't expose how bad of a clock manager he really is because we're never in those situations. His before halftime management is awful, and they missed the field goal. If they would have made that field goal, he would have been exposed for bad clock management again by throwing the ball. We should have ran it to make the force take a timeout.
No, and the first time they had the ball, the first few plays were running plays. So again, they weren't even trying to be aggressive when they first got the ball. Is what I was saying. So
he's so inconsistent. He starts mailing it in.
It's so ass backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
and then the fourth quarter. I mean, no sense of urgency, nothing.
No, and it's so funny because you listen to Trent Green break down the Colts. He's like, oh, look, they're going up tempo here. They're doing this. They're doing this. And there's things like the one thing you see, because I watched a lot of different games today, like a lot of other games, to try to like see real football, how it's really played, and try to understand that, that actually can happen in the NFL. And it's like, all right, you see all these different things where teams that have not as good talent, but they're using guys in different situations, up tempo, creative play calling, all kinds of different schematics to make things, scheming guys open. When was the last time we did that? I mean, Barrios did a couple cool things today, but it's like they're so far behind the 8 ball right now. Like on the field, off the field, they can't be competitive, man. Like they'll be competitive with the Broncos because the Broncos suck and they're decimated by injuries. But I mean, it's just, it's not fun, man. It's unwatchable. It's truly unwatchable. It's not fun to watch. You
look around the rest of the league. Patriots replacing their quarterback for the first time in decades. Not a problem. They put up 30 on a team that's 2-0. Yeah, exactly. You got the Niners with Nick Mullins throwing over 300 yards. How many other starters did they have out? They didn't skip a beat at all.
Nope. Coaching.
Tramp the Giants. Exactly. This is a coaching league. As we've had many people point out, it's a coaching league, and we don't have the coaches to get it done. We just don't.
On both sides of the ball. And remember, we talked about this with Greg Williams, too.
Yep.
Remember we said that?
Year 2. Yep.
He said year 2, you have an entire offseason, especially with the added pandemic time, to sit and study what his tendencies are. What is he going to do? What is he going to do? You take away Adams, who's probably his best pass rusher, and then now here's who you are. And now the scarier thing is you say build through the draft. Now with Becton hurt, almost your entire draft class is hurt. Who do you have? You have P. Ryan and the punter. Is anybody else who's playing? They're all hurt.
Nope. They're all hurt.
What a disaster. This can't get any worse, dude. Like, every time you say it can't get worse, I mean, the only thing that can happen now is like Darnold get hurt. That's probably the only thing that can actually be worse now with Becton out. Because McDermott's awful. Did you see McDermott trying to play left tackle?
Yep. He had a holding call on his like second play.
You're all calm, dude. I've been pacing. I've been taking things over there.
Because I knew this was going to happen. We all knew this was going to happen. What did we expect? Giving Darnold this array of weapons, what did we expect? That he was going to get better? That he wasn't going to regress? Bullshit.
Seeing those interceptions
this was
beyond crazy, man. I was hoping he can overcome and just do some things to keep us like, all right, keep us out of the headlines, keep us all the nonsense, make the game competitive, make it fun to watch. And it's like now it's like people are going to start turning on him. And like it's a shame. Like we have created the blueprint of how to ruin a young quarterback. We have mastered it. We did it with Sanchez. Gino was a mess. Hackenberg was a complete disaster. And now this kid is just
created the blueprint, and now we're on the 5th edition.
Yeah. I mean, this is bad, dude. I don't know. I mean, I have more notes. Probably if I looking at them, to be honest with you. I just don't care. We'll go through the comments. Yeah. Oh my goodness. First comment, nobody covers the running backs coming out of the backfield ever. I don't know what the linebackers are doing. I really don't know. Like, I like Avery Williamson, but he's been struggling. Neville Hewitt was kind of quiet today. I mean, I don't know what we're doing out there. I mean, any thoughts?
Not even just running backs out of the backfield, but even on the one goal line play on the touchdown to, I think it was Mo Alley Cox, where it was Basham and Kyle Phillips that were pointing the finger at each other over who was supposed to pick up the tight end. They're lost when it comes to tight ends, running backs. We don't have the guys that can cover. And again, it's your backup inside linebackers. It should be C.J. Mosley and ideally Blake Cashman. He's your top coverage linebacker. They're both out. But again, this is the same unit pretty much that was here last year, and they've just gone backwards.
Yeah, minus Burgess. Who would want to play for Gase? Now, before the game, that story came out about Mortensen. I'm like, you know what? Now you're going to see if this team's going to rally around Gase. Are they going to play hard from whatever else? And the offense, their scripted plays actually were pretty. The scripted plays actually worked, minus the pick six. That was a complete fiasco. Yeah. But I'm like, all right. And the defense did nothing, man. I mean, they didn't even like. You can't tell if they're not showing up, if it's a lack of effort, if it's a lack of coaching. Nobody cares. It's a combination of all of them. But they were just standing there. Like you watch other teams play, like you watching the Rams-Bills game, which was a shootout, but guys are flying out all over the place. Like you can see like the energy, the hard hitting, the emotion, the fire, all that stuff. There's none of that on the sidelines of the Jets or on the field of the Jets.
No, and it's on both sides of the ball. It looks like the defense has quit. It's a bunch of arm tackles and things like that. And, offensively, again, like I thought the offense was moving the ball early on. Like you said, the scripted plays, they were kind of working for a little bit. And then once we had that red zone interception, Colts defense made some adjustments. We had nothing in the second half, literally nothing. And that's what we talk about with Gase. Once the opposing team makes the adjustment on your offense, what do you do to counter it? And it's usually nothing. So
yeah, I mean, we better hope to God that Denver kicks her ass so Gase gets fired. The Jets, when he's not getting fired, I guarantee it. That's how dumb and stubborn Chris Johnson is. That's a fact. I mean, they're not going to fire him tomorrow, no matter how much backlash there is, because it's a short week, and that's saving his ass right now. Then they go out and beat the Broncos, and they're going to say, "Oh, look, we're bouncing back. We're resilient. We faced adversity." Then it's another 2 weeks, and it's like the longer you drag this out, the worse it's going to be for everybody involved. Most importantly, Sam Darnold. Like, I don't know, can Jim Bob Cooter help Sam Darnold with maybe a change of voice? Maybe they could bring in a quarterback coach immediately for him. Like, I don't know what you can do. You got to do something, man.
I agree partially with what you're saying, that you kind of can't fire him, in the middle of a short week, but why not at the same time? Why not? Jim Bob Cooter knows the offense. He knows the plays. Why can't he call the same plays or even make some adjustments in a short week to just put a different voice inside Sam's head? Why not give him a full 13 games with somebody else calling the plays just for a different perspective to see if you could save him this year? Why not?
Yeah, I just think just because it is, figure Wednesday's a walkthrough. They really only have tomorrow to get back. They have one day of practice, basically. They could. I mean, they've done stupider things. I mean,
at this point, why not?
Next comment: Jets defense plays in no fire. Greg Williams has lost his players as well. Can't argue with that either. He's getting no effort, man. They are arm tackling. Not a lot of Bless Austin jumps around once in a while. Neville Hewitt. That's pretty much it, man. You don't see a lot of fire of these guys.
No, I mean, like you said, it's arm tackles. Not a lot of energy. It seems like they're just kind of, collecting a check out there. Pierre Desir looks awful. Your other leaders, Avery Williamson, McDougald, they don't look good. So again, who's setting the tempo for this defense?
You look at all the names that you're mentioning, and how many of them did Joe Douglas bring in?
God. We paid what, $5 million for Desir, and the Colts got Xavier Rhodes for $3 million. I think
players are saying it's not the game plan. It's a Stockholm syndrome that players like McGovern and Darnold are backing Gase. Well, the quarterback is always going to back. I mean, Sam is always the politically correct guy. He always says the right thing. He always takes full responsibility. He'll never blame the coach. McGovern's been like trying to be a leader, trying to say the right thing and not bury the coach. I mean, that's just the way they are. I honestly wish Sam would show more emotion on the field. Like, just be like pissed off, throw the helmet, like have like, because like everybody watches his reaction. Like, you throw a really bad pick, going like this, oh my bad. Like, dude, throw the helmet, kick the bench over, like some kind of fire and energy where like everybody around him knows that he just wants it badly or whatever else. Like, you can't have a flatline head coach and a flatline quarterback, dude. Like, because there's no energy to feed off of. Bell's not there. I mean, who you like? Where's your energy coming from on offense?
No,
like, especially with Becton out now.
No, I kind of agree with that, but I think that also just kind of highlights where Sam is at mentally right now and just how much damage has been done by this head coach and why he needs to go immediately. Yeah, I mean, you see it with his body language. You hear it in his voice when he's talking to the media or doing press conferences. He's a totally defeated quarterback right now who has absolutely lost his confidence. And it's such a fucking shame that at 23 years old, we have literally rewritten.
I finally got you angry. It took me, 3 minutes?
Dude, because just like I hate seeing all the comments that, Sam has to go or tank for Trevor or start Flacco, whatever it may be. Like, I get it. He played like shit today. That's fair. He made some bad decisions. That's fair. But to ignore all the reasons why this kid is trying to do so much on his own. I mean, even that one touchdown drive, he was running for his life half those plays just to extend the drive. He has so much pressure every time the ball is in his hands because you've given him shit to work with. That's why I get mad. I don't give a shit about the game. Like, I know they're going to lose, but destroying a young quarterback, that's fucking ridiculous.
I'm telling you that the defense will play better when Gase is gone as well. It sucks to play when you know your offense will never score. Julian, I agree to a point, but the first drive of the game, your defense is giving up points. I'm like, they're not. I mean, they're starting off the game. Every game they're down 21 points, 17 points, 10 points, 14 points. Like, there's no resistance early on, and that's the problem. They're coming out of the locker room like that. Usually, like, if you have a couple good stops and your offense goes 3 and out, then you start quitting, like, oh, here's another one of these games. We're not doing shit. Well, they're not. I mean, they're part of the problem too, like legitimately part of the problem.
And that's why I didn't really give them a pass for a lot of games last year where they came out and they struggled and they made those adjustments in the second half where teams didn't really need to score because they knew our offense wasn't going to do shit. And that's kind of, today, this was a perfect example where it's like, okay, on the scoreboard, you made some adjustments in the second half. You made them punt a few times. Great. But the game wasn't even within reach when it happened. So does it really matter? Not really.
The next comment is, this team is not beating anyone this year. I'm telling you right now, the Denver Broncos is Adam Gase's Super Bowl. That is a game he's going to sell his soul to win. He has to. If he doesn't win that game, I mean, I think he should have been fired last week and the week before. He should be fired tomorrow. That's the game for him, man. You lose
do you root for a win in that game, honestly?
Because root for a win? Dude, I can't. No. I mean, there's a caveat to this. No, I'm not gonna lie to you. Because you know what? When they started playing well today and Sam threw a touchdown, I was fired up. I'm like, you know what? It's fun to watch football. Like, when Sam is playing well, and like, I don't think, like, at that moment in time, I forgot Gase was the coach. I'm like, wow, the Jets this is a competitive game. Like, you can actually sit and watch competitive football. And then they shit the bed. Then you hate everybody. You want them to lose. Now, if you say, listen, if you guarantee me that the Jets lose to the Broncos, Gase is fired Friday morning, lose by 80, and I will drink beer the entire night, and I will not complain. I promise you, our post-game show, I won't even complain. I won't even say a negative word about nobody. I'll just say thank you and good night. That'd be it. But if they lose and he keeps his job, then I want to see him. I want to see him try to win the game. Yeah,
that's kind of the same predicament that I'm in. I hate rooting for the team to lose. I don't, like feeling emotionless during the games. But at this point, whatever's best in the long-term interest of the team, and especially Sam Darnold, in trying to salvage what's left of his career, if it's going to get Gase out of here quicker, it's hard not to root for whatever that result actually is.
Yeah, now it's funny. We get the comments here. I'm getting comments on my phone. Two people, I guess, are watching it and not texting. So, first of all, we want to thank everybody for watching this. We definitely appreciate it. We appreciate all the support. Definitely the new kind of format for us. And as you can tell, this is not your family-oriented show. I guess if you're first-time viewing, we don't. We just call it like we see it. So
we made the switch at the right time this year.
Yes, we sure did. Let's see what we got here. If all phases of your team sucks and aren't playing with heart at all, it's the head coach's fault, period. Team needs to be evaluated with an actual head coach. I mean,
it also falls on the GM. I mean, who's to blame for the current group of wideouts that are out there? You can't put that on Gase, you know?
Yeah, but listen, I blame the coach. I blame the general manager for bringing here. But at what point are the players held accountable? Like, dude, I'll be honest with you. Listen, like, I'm the kind of person, no matter what kind of sports team I play or any kind of event I'm in, I'm giving max effort. I don't care. Like, that's just my nature. Like, I'm always that kind of work ethic person. So if you're collecting a check and just collecting a check and not playing hard, at some point, somebody in the organization's got to say, you know what? I just watched your film. You're quitting. You're out. Like, somebody in the locker room. Like, that's the one thing we did. We've done interviews with players, dude, like Aaron Glenn, all those guys, and they're like, hey, man, we had guys in the locker room like Brian Cox, Mo Lewis, Kevin Mawai. They held you accountable. If you ain't playing Victor Green, if you're not playing hard, dude, they're gonna grind you. That's the way. That's a true culture. Where's the culture here? Do you see that anywhere?
No, not at all.
So it's like at some point the players gotta be held accountable too, man. It can't just be we can blame Gase all we want and Douglas, the owners. Like somebody, you gotta look in the mirror. Like Henry Anderson's been invisible, dude. And I like Henry Anderson. He's been invisible. Quinnen Williams, what did he do today? I mean, that offensive line whooped their asses up and down the field.
Can you tell me why both those guys were dropping back into coverage?
Did you see that? I think we tweeted at the same time, didn't we?
Well, you tweeted about Henry Anderson. I tweeted about Quinnen Williams because he started out at the line of scrimmage and then he dropped back. I think Henry Anderson was on the guy to start. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
I saw that. I'm like, wait a minute. Like I actually had to rewind. I'm like, am I saying things? I'm like, I had a couple drinks. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sheldon
Henry Anderson in coverage. Easy money for some, if not most of the players, and another wasted year for the fan base. This is, you know what? I have so much respect for Jet fans that actually sit through this shit week in and week out, and we watch this, and to even have the anger we have. And what's even worse is look how many Jets fans were at the game today. They had 7,500 fans allowed in the building, and there's fans that actually travel out there to go watch this bullshit. This team doesn't deserve fans. It really doesn't, because we don't get any return on our investment whatsoever. What's the return on investment? Bad football, constant jokes. You don't want to go to the office tomorrow morning and get ridiculed by all your coworkers. You have your head down. You don't want to wear. You don't want to wear. You don't want to wear your gear anywhere because it's pathetic. And then it's like all you're gonna hear: worst team in football. Worst team in football. The rebuilding project scares you. We've been rebuilding for 10 years now.
This is the first year in quite a while that I have not bought one new T-shirt. Nothing. And this was the perfect year to do it because I think we all knew what to expect. I wasn't giving them a dime. Luckily enough, I didn't have to pay for my season tickets this year.
Could you imagine?
My God. And you know what? And the sad thing is I still would have been there. I'd still be there. Thursday night, yep. I mean, I'd be there if I could.
Yeah, no, I would. I mean, I'd be the same boat, but it's just here comes the Darnold stuff. Well, how can you justify giving Sam $30 million a year at this point? Joe restarting, going to draft Trevor, and surround him with the save money.
My question is, what would be different if we get Trevor Lawrence versus keeping Sam Darnold? And again, the opportunity to trade that pick, and again, now have 6 or 7 first-round picks over the next 2 years and put that around Sam versus put Trevor Lawrence into the same situation that Sam is in, what exactly would change? All you're doing is pushing back the clock on when you have to pay the quarterback. But if you have the guy, why not keep him? What would hurt, honestly, what would hurt worse? Trading Sam and watching him go win somewhere else, or passing up the chance to draft Lawrence and watching him win? Me personally, the guy you drafted, trading him away, and then watching him go on to a successful career, that would piss me off a lot more.
But you know what? If we're being completely honest about this, knowing the way this organization works, starting with ownership, ticket sales, Trevor Lawrence, that's what's going to happen. The shiny new toy. That's how they're going to sell things. You have to, because
that's the problem. That's the problem, though.
I'm the messenger, man. I agree. I'm the messenger.
How the fuck does that make your decision on quarterback? Well, you know, we can sell more tickets by promoting Trevor Lawrence instead of Sam Darnold.
Because the
Jets, that has anything to do with it?
They treat it like a business, dude. That's why they brought in Tebow, why they did all the other shit over the years. That's what they do, man. It's about selling tickets and making money. And winning is secondary. Money.
At what point do you learn that it's not working, what you're doing?
Dude, listen, I'm on your side. I'm just telling you from what they've taught us over the years and how they handle their business. This is what they do. So, I mean,
I can't get behind that.
Dude, listen, I'm on your side here, but Joe Harlem, let me look at the film. Joe, you're not going to be alone, man. And what the best part of it is you're going to have all these Twitter experts doing the film study all day tomorrow, pointing out all things that went wrong. I just know everybody sucks. That's my analysis.
I already can't wait for Connor Hughes to do the fucking picture with the 10 arrows showing which way Darnold's feet are going. And dude.
Isn't Gase tired of looking at the film? The only thing he's really tired of is staring at his clipboard. And the weird thing is he's doing it when the game's actually happening. Like if the defense is on the field, then when defense is going on, and then he analyzes his plays, like the play is actually occurring, and he's studying like he's I don't know.
I have no words for it. Oh my God.
Darnold threw for 3 TDs today. That's true. Except, unfortunately, 2 of them went to the wrong team, which is I don't know, man. Like it's just. And this is the point from Mike that is the excellent point why I hate the Jets making excuses. San Francisco has 9 starters out today, and they look good today. Well-coached team, backup quarterback, all their primary playmakers are all out, and they played excellent. They find ways. Like good teams find a way to win, bad teams find ways to lose. The Jets are one of the worst team in football, and they prove it day in and day out. I don't care about the practice habits. I don't care about it's just this is their culture. They're a losing organization.
Not just 9 starters, but how many Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber players? I mean, you're talking Sherman, Kittle, if you want to throw Garoppolo into that conversation, Bosa, Mostert's been their number 1 back. How many guys were they missing? And not one excuse. I mean, they throw for over 300 yards. Offense looks phenomenal, over 30 points, like it was nothing.
And they're getting max effort.
That's
max effort from everybody.
That's a well-coached team that's prepared, plug and play. That's why coaching is so important in this league, and we don't have it.
This is cool because you're like the calming voice, and I'm just off the rails tonight. So I can just we've changed roles here, man.
I'm getting there though.
If you don't score, you don't win. Vince Lombardi. Can Vince Lombardi come back and coach this team, please? Because we need something here, man. I mean, this is
forget winning games. Just play competitive. Every loss, it's non-competitive. It's a double-digit loss. That's 10 of Gase's 12 losses, double digits. Like they quit. They quit on games. Period. In the second half, they showed nothing. No adjustments,
dude, something away, you could feel it. Like, man, like pick 6. I'm like, all right, it's early, we can overcome that. They come back, they do some good things, but then when the offense doesn't put any points up and the defense is getting mauled, I'm like, we've seen this before. Like, you just see the game deteriorating, and slowly but surely, the play calling gets more conservative. The defense starts quitting even more. The effort goes down. Like this, you just see it. It's not. I don't know. It's just not fun to watch, man. It's just not. Like there's portions like you want to like. I know we have to do this show, so I'm like, I don't want to turn it off and watch like Cowboys Seahawks. But I'm like, you really tempted to do it though.
No, because there's 31 other teams that are doing right by their quarterbacks, making adjustments. Their games are fun to watch, and it just seems like the Jets are still playing, with a game plan from 5 to 10 years ago.
The Jets are a JV team, and Gary, you're right. And at some point, when we have time, we're going to start taking a look at Joe Douglas and what he's done who he's brought into this little mess of a team we have.
You can talk about it now.
I mean, we got something.
Look at Ryan Khalil, the field goal kicker from last year, Vedvik to start the year, and not having a backup plan there, no backups at quarterback, letting Gase make the decision to bring in, Ballage and other guys this year.
How about having 4 quarterbacks? How about having 4 quarterbacks on the roster? Is that a good idea?
Pierre Desir, wasted money. Van Roten, not much.
McDougal's not.
Entire draft class injured.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God.
And I like Joe Douglas too. I'm going to give him the same leash I gave Mike McCagnon a couple years. I get it. You got to, build and bring your own guys in. You want to build through the draft. That's fine. But dude, you came into a situation with a quarterback in place and you've done nothing at all to try and help him.
Marcus May looking really good, at least. I mean, really good. Probably saying a lot. I mean, I didn't think he was.
He didn't look like an impact player. I mean, week 1, I think that was his peak. Week 2, he went downhill, missed a couple plays on Jordan Reed. This week, I didn't really notice him that much. I didn't notice anybody on the defense, to be honest with you. Who stood out? John Franklin Myers for a few plays before he got hurt. Other than that, I mean, who stood out?
Nobody.
Bless Austin made a few tackles. That was pretty much it.
He got burned a couple times too, pretty bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's clear how much Jamal Adams covered for this team's flaws defensively. Going 6-2 last year was the worst thing that could have happened to the Jets. I could not agree more. Especially the way they celebrated that Bills victory last year when they beat the second and third string Bills and they act like they want a playoff spot. Beating bad teams and patting themselves on the back for that when you had a losing season is just.
Who out there didn't realize what was going on during that 6-2 stretch? Like, was anybody actually fooled into thinking like this team was buying into Gase or that we were going to expect different results this year? It was the defense that was trying to carry that team to wins against backup quarterbacks and shitty talent. Nothing changed on the offensive side of the ball.
Nope. And this point we mentioned a little bit earlier, and from Michael, isn't this the story of all Greg Williams' defenses? Good first year followed by mediocrity. And that was the concern we talked about in our offseason shows. You have a year to study all his things. Even Bart Scott mentioned it. He said, listen, You figure out his blitz schemes. You figure out how he uses certain players. You take out Adams, which is fine, but still, you basically say, okay, May's going to do the same certain things, and you know how to defend it. And they said, and if the guys don't time their blitzes right, Philip Rivers just looks at it. All right, I know where he's coming from. I've seen this before. Like a veteran quarterback or a well-coached team will figure out a scheme.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that. It's totally fair. I'm not going to defend Greg Williams here, but I think this was predictable based on the cornerbacks that you brought in, especially with all the injuries. You didn't address the pass rusher at all. Your only major move there was pretty much drafting Sabari Zuninga, who hasn't played at all. So yeah, I mean, what exactly have you done to improve the defense other than stripping the team of its best player, trading Jamal Adams, and then your other best player opted out? So you don't have any impact players on defense, and it's showing.
Yeah, now I'm getting we got a text question. I'm going to answer a text question. How much of this is TJ? How much of this is Joe Douglas not picking his own head coach? He was saddled with Gase. Well, Gase got him hired, actually. Do you see Gase fired by midseason if Jets are 0-8, 1-7? I see Gase fired on Friday if they lose to the Broncos. I think it's pretty simple.
I'm not going to entertain anything about Douglas not being able to pick his own coach, because he can still come out and put his foot down and say, no, this shit is not acceptable. In spite of the fact that ownership is saying Gase is brilliant and everything else, he needs to voice his opinion. If he's truly trying to say that, we need a new culture here, and that's what he wants to instill in this team, well, aligning yourself with Adam Gase is not going to do that. And to this point, he has not separated himself from Adam Gase. He's a part of it. Exactly. So that's what he needs to do. He needs to separate from it, period. They got
to do something to shake up the locker room. Like, if you're going to stick with Gase, which is a colossal mistake, shake up the locker room. Like Pierre Desir be the perfect guy. Like, you know what, dude? You're not playing to our standards. You're out of here. Or Ogletree or whoever it is. Like I said, there's been other players. Like, Parcells wouldn't tolerate this shit, dude. Do you think Bill Belichick or Sean McVay would watch this nonsense? Or Kyle Shanahan be like, you know what? I'm going to watch you guys sleepwalk, arm tackle, and not care. And I'm going to start you next week. Or I'm going to keep you in this locker room. No, you clean house. And I'd rather watch 13 rookies play and do their best effort and get something than some high-priced jackass that ain't going to do anything and not care and keep just embarrassing all of us.
No, Patriots are the perfect example of that. They draft picks all the time that they ship out of town that don't work out because they're not going to allow those guys to instill their own culture. When you see that a player is not the right fit, if they're not giving the max effort, you get rid of them. You make a statement. This organization, this regime has not shown they can do that yet.
Next comment. Oh, thanks, Joe Douglas and Adam Gase, for addressing the wide receiver position and defense. I mean,
you know what? I give a pass on anything defensive related. This was my one take all offseason. You had almost $100 million to spend. You had plenty of draft picks to use. Everything should have been used on the offense. Everything should have been used to not only help Sam Darnold, but to not leave any excuses for Adam Gase not getting this offense to where it should go, not helping Sam Darnold progress. I didn't care if we didn't address pass rusher or cornerback, as long as we prioritized wide receiver and the offensive line. And early on, we prioritized the O-line. We invested a lot of money in guys like McGovern and Fant. We invested the first-round pick in Becton. And then at wide receiver, what did we do? We tried to replace Robbie Anderson with Perriman. We tried to justify Mims, as being a potential starter from day one in the second round. And we thought that was it. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills, who had a good situation at wide receiver, they said, you know what? We need more. We need more to help out our young quarterback. They traded a first-round pick for Diggs. They drafted 2 wide receivers.
Yep.
Why didn't we do that?
And what about Ryan Griffin, dude? He is a shell of himself. Like, what is up with him, man?
He did tell us. He didn't think he would ever be the same after the ankle surgery, and he hasn't been. So, I mean, at least he didn't lie.
Man, I mean, that's just
awful.
At least with Rex, they were watchable. I mean, to a point, but this is as bad as it gets.
Watchable, and they played hard.
Yep.
I can tolerate bad football when guys actually give a shit. These guys don't care right now. Like you said, they're collecting their check, they're going through the motions, and that's it.
No accountability whatsoever. Gase never had an answer. That was apparent to anyone from the start. He was not good in Miami. He will hopefully be relegated to the Kotite bin of history by next week. This is Kotite levels here, man. This is as bad as it gets. I mean, they're getting blown out week in and week out. They have no answers. And when you ask the coach specific questions and he starts stuttering, he's like, I got to watch the film. And then he's like, well, you blame your quarterback endlessly when your primary goal of being hired here was to help that quarterback. I mean, it's just
no. He's got no answers. He's repeating the same answers over and over again that don't make any sense. That's what we've come to at this point.
Another owner wouldn't tolerate losing. The late great Mr. Hess. We had the worst owner in sports behind Jim Dolan, and this is why when he doubled down, was it 2 weeks ago now? When Chris Johnson came out and told us how brilliant Adam Gase was, that's why how foolish he looked. That's why I went off the rails, dude. Because I'm like, this is insane to double down after that loss for a coaching staff that is like, this coach is in over his head. Like, he can't handle a rebuild. He can't handle a coach. Maybe if you give him like a win now team, maybe he can with a prominent quarterback, maybe he could win like that. But he is so far in over his head right now. And for this ownership to do what they did and make his comments that he made, just shows you how inept they are.
And just to feel that pressure to have to do it after week 1, that should have told you all you needed to know. The fact that you were responding to that many voices outside the organization saying, yo, you have a problem, you need to get rid of this guy, and he felt the need to make a statement, that tells you all you need to know.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the comments are just, and we need a head coach. Maybe a couch probably would help. A coach.
Couch would be better than a coach.
Non-offensive or defensive coordinator pretending to be a head coach. And that's the one thing that you want somebody that has, a full feel of both sides of the football. Gase has his head buried in his playbook for the offense. Defense is on the field. He doesn't really know what's going on. The Giants had that in Joe Judge, but that's not really working for them right now. But you want you want a guy that has a feel for everything that's going on, can hold somebody accountable on defense if he has to. Gase can't do that. You think Gase can go, hey, so Pierre Desir, you're cut? He couldn't do that. He has no idea what's going on over there.
But you know what? Even still, I would be fine with that if Sam Darnold was showing progress. If he was actually getting better from his rookie year, I'd say, you know what? Fine. Have a head coach of the defense. You be the head coach of the offense, and we'll be okay. Cliff Kingsbury, he's the head coach of the Cardinals. He's doing great things with their offense. He's still accountable for the whole team. Like, I'd be okay with a situation like that. But we don't have anybody that's accountable right now on either side of the ball.
Great debate here. The beer intake helps. Beer intake is required for this show and for the team.
How else do we do it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do this sober.
Thank God for Mekhi Becton. Well, I'm not sure why we're saying that. He's hurt. He missed the whole second half. Now he's got a shoulder injury, and they haven't said if it was the same shoulder that was hurt in practice or if it's the other shoulder.
I'm sure it was the same shoulder, and he tried to fight through it. And once it became apparent that we weren't going to be competing in this one, they said, you know what, sit out.
Hey, dudes, love your stuff. As a Fin fan, I guarantee once it's gone, you'll be happy. You have Gase screen, and you need a Gasectomy. Listen, man, I think we all know that. I mean, I think it's just we've seen the problems. We've seen the issues. We didn't want him hired. That was when he was hired, we were out of our minds. And now the way to fix all this is quite obvious. Just the owners don't see it. Or if they do see it, they're gonna wait too long to make a move.
Yeah, and it was Jason from Over the Cap who was basically saying Adam Gase has been in charge of 2, major rebuilds or, head coaching positions, and look what he's done to both young quarterbacks. Both young quarterbacks. I mean, we don't know what Sam's going to be after Gase leaves eventually, which he will. But I mean, look at what Tannehill's done since Gase has left. Look at what a majority of those Dolphin players have done once they left Adam Gase. Either the ones that have been traded or the ones that are still there, like Gesicki and Devontae Parker, who have thrived since he's left. I mean, you can't deny the facts.
Next comment: Jets will probably beat Denver, though. That's probably your biggest fear at this point. I mean, and it's sad to say because you want your team to win. I understand it. So don't give me a lecture about how you always root for your team to win. I understand all that. But if they do win, you're buying him 2 more weeks. That's the problem.
Yeah, and we've seen a bunch of the comments from the people that, no matter what, I'm a Jet fan. I always root for my team to win. I understand it. I'm not faulting anybody that has that opinion. I think that's fine. But to deny that what's in the best long-term interest of the Jets is to lose and get Gase out of here as soon as possible, get a different voice in Sam's head, I mean, you're denying the obvious at that point.
Yeah, I mean, when the whistle blows, you automatically start rooting for the team. You want to see Sam make nice passes, score touchdowns, all this stuff. But it's like when the game starts getting out of hand, you're like, dude, just end this misery already. Like, it's just let's give Douglas a chance to fix this team. Our last GM has ruined this. Yeah, listen, we understand McCagnon made a lot of mistakes, but Joe Douglas's current draft class, for the most part, is hurt. So it's hard for Mims to make an impact when he's not even playing. So that's a problem. And then also Joe Douglas's little 1-year rentals and all these guys he's brought in aren't exactly panning out either. So ideally what you want to do is just as a fan, I'm speaking here, what you want to do is when you make moves, you want to get pieces that are going to be for here this year, next year, like at least for like 3-year span. So you have some kind of continuity where you can actually build a little nucleus of players. Right now, like who is our nucleus? You have Quinnen Williams and you have Becton. Am I missing anybody?
No, you're not. We thought and we hoped, guys like Herndon maybe would be a part of that. He hasn't really shown a whole lot. I still think he has a lot of potential once he eventually gets out of the Gase system. But yeah, I mean, to not deny what McCagnon did over 5 years would be foolish. But to also, I mean, let's be real. Robbie Anderson, that was McCagnon. Jamal Adams, that was McCagnon. So a lot of these guys that were producing, that were kind of masking how bad this team really was, those guys we shipped out of town. and we have not really replaced him at this point. So again, it's a collective effort.
If Gase is fired by Friday and they still then get the first pick, I guess he was asking if they're still at the first pick. That would be interesting if they fire Gase and his team goes on a run, actually wins some games, and doesn't get the first pick. That'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Or I don't know if that question was about if they fire Gase and they still get the first round pick. I'm not really sure. Because if that happens, I mean, do you still get rid of Sam? I mean, is he the issue? Do you truly evaluate him under Cooter and say, you know what, this is your third offensive voice in your head. You still haven't got it together yet. I'm very curious to see what would happen if Gase gets fired and Sam does have a different, guy calling plays and he still doesn't take that leap. What do you do at the end of the year if you are in position to take Trevor Lawrence? I think it would be a legitimate discussion. I just think it's fucked up that we do that to Sam.
You guys need to give Gase credit for one thing. He's the first coach in the history of the NFL to get the dreaded vote of confidence week 1. That's the Jets, man. That's how the Jets run things, man. They just next comment. Adam Gase should get some blame for the defense playing poorly. He's the head coach. You have to get people ready to play and get your players fired up. Gase is incapable of doing that. I agree. He's responsible for everything, and the media should kind of hammer him more instead of letting him give a pass. Well, it's on Greg Williams. It's on you, man. This is your team. Like you're the general. You're the CEO of this little team around the field. You should know everything that's going on and manage everybody. And if something's not going the way you like it, you fire. Like you go over there, you go to Greg Williams on the sideline. But listen, dude, get your shit together over here. This is not working. Do you ever see that? You're probably scared of him, I guess.
Yeah, probably. But again, at the same time, how do you do that when you've held nobody on your offense accountable? How can you point the fingers on the defensive side of the ball when your offense hasn't produced shit? The only 3 touchdowns, as I said earlier, the only 3 touchdowns we had this year was because Darnold ran for his life and made something happen on 2 of them and audibled out of another one. You have not produced a touchdown drive yet in 3 games this year. So how do you point the finger on anybody defensively? You can't.
Does anyone talk to Sam after the interceptions? Answer is no. Gase doesn't talk. He just calls plays.
And he admitted it after the game. He said, oh, well, on that 3rd interception, I got to talk to Sam tomorrow about it. No, why didn't you talk to him right as he came off the field about what happened? He said he has to talk to him tomorrow.
Yep. So Dowell Loggins was the guy I talked to him. Was it Dowell Loggins started trying to point things out? And I'm like, this is just – it's so poorly run, so poorly handled. Let's see. I cannot imagine the Jets will be favored to win any game this season. I cannot recall a season where it was over before the end of September. I mean, I've been through part of those seasons already, but I mean, this is it. I mean, there's no glimmer of hope. I mean, they'll be favored, I guess, on Thursday night because the Broncos aren't very good.
Will they?
Think so? Or maybe like a 1.2 point game. You're the sports betting guy. You post videos on there.
Last I saw it was a 1-point spread, but it wouldn't shock me if they're underdogs on Thursday night based on the way they played. Last I saw, Broncos, I think, were only down by like 2 scores. I don't know if Tampa kind of blew that one away. But, I mean, just by the way we're looking, I don't know how we're going to be favored.
Now, Luca's going to get us off. Luca, if you didn't watch this show, you should have watched the first 15 minutes because me and Primetime argued about 10 minutes. Sam was terrible today, no doubt. Should be held accountable. But, guys, how can we properly evaluate Sam? Terrible coaching, lack of weapons has affected his development, but he can be better. The problem is he can be better, but who's going to do it for him?
No, that is the perfect comment. We can evaluate Sam. We can critique his mistakes. That's all fair. That's all well and good. Hold him accountable for what he does wrong. I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but to put all the blame on him and say, damn, we got to move on from this kid. He doesn't have it. He's not the franchise quarterback. You're making that assessment with him throwing to his 6th and 7th string wideouts without a true head coach leading the offense, without his right tackle, without his left tackle, without Le'Veon Bell. How is that a proper evaluation of what this kid can actually be? It's not.
Listen, the problem is it's like there's no mystery. There's no way to fix him like tomorrow. Like it's gonna be a process, dude. Like you got to get you need a legitimate quarterback coach in his ear, like to help work with him. You need an offensive coordinator. You need a good head coach. Then you need receivers. I mean, there's so many things that have to happen for him right now, and it's not going to happen this year. It's like the trickle down of him going through this year and getting worse and learning bad fundamentals, bad decision making, not fixing mistakes. That it's like you're damaging him more and more and more. It's like it's criminal. You kept saying it's criminal.
Yep.
It's like gross negligence. It really is.
No, that's exactly what it is. But to also say that he can't be fixed, I mean, it took Alex Smith 7 years before he was, winning games and reaching his potential. So again, this is a 23-year-old kid. You've done wrong by him at every imaginable turn when it comes to the head coaches, when it comes to the play calling, when it comes to the wide receivers that he's working with. every single decision that you've made to try and elevate this kid has done the opposite effect, and you've regressed him. So now you need to make it right. Get Gase out of here. Give him a full 13, 12 games, whatever it is, to evaluate him with a different voice in his ear. Hopefully Bell is back soon. Hopefully Mims and Perriman are out there within the next few weeks. And then you can get a true evaluation with him with all his weapons and somebody else calling the plays.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is everybody's so focused on Trevor Lawrence. What if you have the 4th pick? Then what? Like, then you're saying what? Go for the second best quarterback, or then we change our whole plan? Like, oh, you know what? Now we keep Sam, and then we go best wide receiver. Exactly. It's such a fiasco, dude.
I think best wide receiver should be the plan regardless.
Yep. They need game-breaking talent.
Amount of help.
Yep. Like you can watch the Buffalo Bills. You need game-breaking talent on the field. Like you need elite level talent. Unless you have Bill Belichick on the field, who just makes. I mean, the Patriots they're just cruising along right now. Why haven't you guys mentioned Joe Douglas once so far? I mean, I think we have. That clown needs to be held accountable as well. We're pretty much blasted everybody. I think we've got the owner, the general manager, the coach, Greg Williams, the players. We can go to Ball Boy if you want. Want to go to the training staff too? We can go. I mean, we can go wherever we want.
I'm just curious to know to what extent Joe Douglas had the authority to do whatever he wanted this offseason, whether it was ownership holding him back from signing the guys that he wanted, whether it's Gase having too much power in certain personnel moves. That's the only thing I'm curious about. But like I also said, this is the time where Joe Douglas needs to separate from all the bullshit, from all the losers in this organization, and prove that he's different. Because right now, he has not done anything to separate. He is just aligning himself with the Johnsons and with Adam Gase. He'll get the respect when he separates from it.
Yep. First, primetime, real quick, the magazine. Give out your little magazine plug, because I'm really bad with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, NYSF Mag, check it out. We got the September issue out, October coming in a few weeks. So, yeah, definitely check that out.
And NJMMAshop.com. If you're an MMA fan, we make shirts. We get 2 CFFC champions. We make shirts for them. And we have an American flag shirt with the state of New Jersey on it. 10% of the proceeds go to community food bank in New Jersey. So got that done. So you can't complain that I don't do any plugs here. Next comment. First-time Darnold supporters have to question if he's really the guy for our future. And I'm in that category. Today was the first day. The last 2 weeks, I'm getting a little bit more concerned of how he's playing and how the team is supporting him and how much damage is being done. Now, I'm not saying I can't be fixed, but it's becoming concerning where that one great throw he makes gives you inspiration, but that the interceptions, the bad reads, the missed snaps, missed throws, it's concerning, man.
I don't think there's anything wrong to have some questions, but to be running this guy out of town like it seems like a lot of people are doing by putting these narratives out there on every single bad throw that he makes, I'm like, what did we expect to go differently? With the receivers he's working with the head coach that we all agree is awful. What more do we really expect from this kid? I get it. He's got to hit open receivers. He's got to make smart decisions and not throw the ball into double coverage. That's all fair and good. But with what you're giving him to work with, he's going to press. He's going to put pressure on himself and try to do too much and put everything on his shoulders. And that's the end result, him making stupid decisions. So you have yourself to blame for it.
Everyone was bad. Gase, Sam, receivers, defense, return. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. These games are not fun to watch, man. It's a complete disaster. Let's see. Let's go for the Chiefs offensive coordinator. I'm about to cancel my NFL ticket. You're not going to cancel your NFL ticket. You're going to sit and watch every one of these miserable games the rest of the season because everybody that says I'm not going to watch ever again will be tuned in on Thursday night to watch again. That's what we do.
Yeah, listen, I would love the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. He's done a great job over there in KC. I don't know how much of that is actually Andy Reid versus, him or Mahomes. But yeah, I mean, at least he's a part of a winning culture, a winning organization that's developed a quarterback. Hopefully, he'd be able to bring some of those things here.
Who's a worse owner, Chris Johnson or Jim Dolan? I'm going to say Chris Johnson. And the reason why is Jim Dolan is clueless, but he's willing to spend the money to get people in here. Like he tried to, in theory, when he initially hired Phil Jackson, everybody touted him for it. Like, wow, he spent the money, got him in here, he made this power move, did all this stuff. But he made like those splash moves. He's willing to spend crazy money to get the players in here. Chris Johnson's yet to really do that. Like he never really paid for a head coach. Like this is going to be his chance. Next offseason will be his chance to show us that I want to bring in a prominent coach. I'm willing to pay him. I'm willing to bring in all these players. Like I think it's Chris Johnson, man.
Can I go with option C with the Dolans? But I mean, I guess they're out of here now, so probably can't put them in that discussion. But yeah, I mean, it's probably Chris Johnson. I mean, You know what? Because ownership also involves your customer relations with fans and everything, and just the whole thing with PSLs. I'll never be able to forgive that because we were all there. Both of us were there during the days at the Meadowlands, and it was just such a different environment. Like you enjoyed the games even when the team sucked. You had a good time at the games. You knew everybody in your section. It was 80,000 diehards, and they completely ruined that. So aside from the fact that we have to endure this product week after week and the losses are awful, you can't even go to the games when we can go to the games and enjoy them. It's been 10 years of misery, 19 years without a home playoff game, 10 years without playoffs in general. It's an embarrassment.
Next comment, Sam was bad, Gase is the worst. I mean, that's
fair.
Yeah.
Completely fair.
Next one, Broncos were watchable versus Tampa. Jets have never been watchable this year. That's fair too. I mean, it's
every team at some point this year has been watchable in one game. The Jets are the only team that has just been blown out in every game, double-digit losses in every game, non-competitive, second halves. That's where the Jets are at. Worst team in football.
We're asking Darnold to not make us worse. He cannot have these turnovers. That's fair.
Not going to argue it. No, listen, I'm not trying to make excuses for every time, Sam throws, a bad pass or throws an interception. I'm just saying, his choices are try and force a ball in there and make a play or run for his life, take a sack. Like his options are limited. He's trying to put everything on his shoulders and, he's getting into some bad habits. And I understand why he's getting into those habits because he's working with shit. He has nothing around him. No receivers. Offensive line's been dreadful today, especially with all the injuries. Yep. Play calling's been questionable, to put it lightly. So, I mean, what more do we really expect from him?
I mean, if you're looking at a game without Mekhi Becton on Thursday night, God help us, because McDermott was horrendous. He's a complete liability.
Yep.
And on that note, everyone being hurt means his training staff and strength and conditioning staff needs to be fired.
They're already fired.
Going into the season.
This is right now what you're seeing. This is Gase's training staff. They fired the longtime trainer that was with the Jets for like 15 years, that all the previous players loved, that had no issues with. This is Gase's training staff. So who are we going to blame now? These issues came with him from Miami. They were here last year. They're here with his new training staff. Who the fuck else do we blame?
I mean, we pretty much blamed everybody at this point. I mean, this is just. There's so many comments here, man. I can't keep up with them right now. And our screen keeps refreshing.
Bring them all.
We'll be here till like midnight. I got to figure out where the there we go. Oh, Jesus Christ. This I'm not even put this one.
Bring it on.
Baker Mayfield is what we need.
Come on. What?
Come on, man. That's not we're not talking about this. There's nothing to evaluate on Sam. He is what he is. Okay, Shark Attack. What is he? What is Sam?
How does anybody know? Like even me who defends Sam, how do I know what he is? Nobody can say definitively what Sam is. So if that's your justification for taking Trevor Lawrence, being a can't miss prospect, I can almost understand it, but I still hate the idea of throwing away a 23-year-old talented quarterback who has shown you flashes, not consistency, flashes of being brilliant, throwing him away before he's truly had a chance to succeed. I fucking hate that.
Well, you may hate that, but these next like 5 comments are all for you. So
bring them all. Bring them all.
Kevin, don't put the blame on Darnold. Don't worry, we're not. I'm getting rid of Darnold and Gase. 50-50. That's pretty fair.
See this, and again, this is why we can't develop a quarterback. We all knew and we acknowledged what he was working with this year. We all said,
"Sun's come right after you here, boy."
We all said this is not enough to help out your quarterback. Yet here we are, 3 games in. Saying, you know what, Sam's not the answer. At 23 years old, we're saying he's not the answer. He's younger than Joe Burrow, but he's not the answer already. Okay.
The quarterback makes the most money, so make plays. I've never heard such coddling excuses for a quarterback. That's all you, man. God, these are your fans, man.
He's getting rushed on every play, scrambling for his life. The 1 touchdown drive was literally all him. They punt on that 1 3rd and long. If he didn't scramble for the first down, take a big hit going out of bounds. That first down was all him. That drive being extended was all him. It wasn't Gase's play calling. It wasn't him scheming to get guys open. It was all Sam. The touchdown was all Sam. He evaded, 3 defenders, kept going. Berrios extended the play, touchdown. And that was it. The 3 touchdown drives this year have been Sam. 2 times he scrambled for his life. Another one that he audibled at the line where he was actually allowed to. Other than that, what has Gase done? But we're going to blame Sam. We're going to throw him under the bus. We're going to throw him out for another quarterback that will do the same thing too.
But Sam had Bell and still played inconsistent. So what's the excuse?
Because Adam Gase didn't want to fucking use Bell. He didn't want Bell, period. We see that now. He's giving Gore how many carries? He got 20 last week. How many did he have this week?
Sam has 4 good games in his career.
And I think they were all under Jeremy Bates, right?
Listen, I'm just reading the comments, letting you react to him right now.
Sam's best 4-game stretch was at the end of Jeremy Bates's and Todd Bowles.
Against the Cowboys, he played well last year.
All right, so he had a game. Cool. And I think maybe the Raiders or Bronco game last year also he played well. Great.
If he doesn't produce on his rookie contract, no excuses, guys. Paying him a big contract for that performance isn't going to cut it.
Okay, so I'll put it a different way then. If Lamar Jackson was a Jet, if Josh Allen was a Jet, working with this cast, going from Bowles and Bates to Dowell Loggins and Adam Gase, what would they be doing? We'd be shipping them out of town. Yet those organizations did right by them, catered their offense to what those guys do well, and those quarterbacks are thriving. Yet look what we're giving Sam Darnold. This is I can't, dude. I can't get behind any Sam Darnold slander. I get it. He played like shit today. I'm not throwing him under the bus, though, because what fucking chance did he have?
I'm just firing out comments. So you want to wait 7 years for Darnold to be good? Oof, Sam's just getting roasted, man.
I want to give Darnold a chance to be good with legitimate wide receivers and a true offensive-minded head coach that can bring the best out of him. A guy like Kyle Shanahan who doesn't make excuses, where it's next man up, guys know the system, it's up-tempo, they make adjustments. That's what I want for Sam. I want to see how he does in that system.
Next comment, a franchise quarterback makes a team better, not the other way around.
Expecting him to be you can vouch for me on this one. I said this in the offseason. I didn't expect him to be that at age 23 this year because you haven't set him up to be that. You haven't built him up, his confidence or any aspect of his game. You haven't helped him in any way. Wide receivers, coaching, nothing. You have done nothing to help him. So expecting him to put a team on his back at age 23, it's not realistic.
Tom Brady never needed good wide receiver. Common saying was always just pick someone off the street and Tom Brady will make him look like a star. Also, Tom Brady also had a top-level defense supporting him, and Josh McDaniels is a phenomenal offensive coordinator. Dante Scarnecchia is a phenomenal offensive line coach. I mean, compare
the best head coach in football history. So
to compare the Patriots and Jets is just laughable. You can't even compare the situations.
I gotta take a piss. Be right back.
All right, so I'll just answer questions.
Yep.
Sam is not a Joe guy, and that's fair. Sam is not Joe Douglas's guy, and that's why this is going to be an interesting situation when they get, if they number one pick in the draft. Does Joe Douglas say, you know what, I want my coach and my quarterback? And that could very well be a situation. And that's where this gets all very messy. Is a 0 to 3 win range very, very much possible, even if Gase is fired? Well, who are they beating? Maybe the Dolphins? I mean, how much more are they going to prove if Gase is fired? That's kind of the question. I mean, maybe if they win 2 games, maybe is that we're looking at 3-13, 2-14. I mean, I don't know. The fact you think he was a good college quarterback is funny. I mean, the one thing about the whole Sam Darnold criticism is really fascinating because when the Jets traded up to get the number 3 pick and they got Darnold, that selection was universally celebrated by Jets fans, analysts. When the Jets got Darnold, everybody was excited, saying he was possibly the best quarterback in the draft. The fact you think he was a good college quarterback is funny. I mean, they had suck for Sam. They had campaigns to have people draft Sam Darnold. People are calling him the best quarterback in the draft class at that point. So, I mean,
what did I just come back to? Again, if we go back to some of those shows that we did before the draft, he was, like you just said, he was the best quarterback in that draft class in what was considered one of the best draft classes for quarterbacks in about 10 years. So again, the idea that he wasn't this, supposed elite quarterback, almost every GM other than the Browns had him as a top quarterback. We were so fortunate to have him fall to us. Yet we're trying to paint it a different way now.
Revisionist history now. Now it's like, oh, I didn't want him. Like the same old shit, man. I didn't want him. And meanwhile, every Jets fan was celebrating that we finally got our guy. So next comment, I agree. I watched thing. It was like, even with a horrible offense and bad play caller, end zone picks and 2 pick sixes shouldn't happen. No way. I mean, there were some bad throws, man. That end zone, that red zone interception was brutal, man. That just sucks the life out of every facet of your team.
What I don't get is why can't we have like some middle ground where we hold Sam accountable, we acknowledge, hey, he didn't play good today. Those were bad throws. Yet we're getting him out of town. We want to move on to the next guy when we have not given him a real chance.
Sam is Dude, it's so funny, like, because like I have like so much anger towards just losing and us losing, and we all want Gase fired. But tonight's show is primarily all about Darnold, dude. Like the comments are endless. Sam is way too inconsistent. He and Gase can go.
What do we expect from him? Sam is a bust. What do we expect from him?
Oh my God. Oh, this one was bad timing. Was bad timing to air Jets tackle bullying, not with old number 30. That McDougal at the goal line, man, was bad. That's just bad. I mean, this just. And he continues. I expect the third-year quarterback not making the same stupid mistakes. Fair point.
That's fair, but again, part of that is coaching. Part of that is preparation, game planning, play calling. You know. To put everything on him. And also, again, having chemistry with your wide receivers, knowing when they're coming in and out of their breaks, things like that, you know, having your timing down, all of that.
See, I don't understand this comment. Two Sam fanboys, well, RNS one. First of all, I guess he clearly doesn't understand how the show works and clearly didn't watch the beginning of it, so we maybe have to educate you a little bit. Not a fanboy here, man. We call it real. I've questioned the shit out of Sam the whole first half of the show. So we call it like we see it. Kevin's a little more positive than I am. I don't like what I see. He's regressing. I think he's damaged now. I think it's going to take a process to rebuild this quarterback. I think he's destroyed mentally and physically now. His fundamentals are going to shit. He's doubting himself. He has got no confidence. And now it's a reclamation project. So not fanboys, dude. So
I'll take the designation as a Sam fanboy, but for you, I mean, you've criticized him. You've been on point, so I'm not going to say anything bad about you. What you're saying.
Prime time, come on. These are NFL players. He has to stop defending Sam. If his receivers aren't good, why are they in the NFL?
Because they have no choice. Again, these are their 6th and 7th options at wideout. Berrios was a guy that they claimed off of waivers last year from the Patriots. Josh Malone, undrafted. Lawrence Cager, undrafted. So these are our only options at this point. The top 5 guys that you had, Mims, Perriman, Crowder, Jeff Smith, Vincent Smith, they're all out. So these are your only options. This is all you have.
Why do we have a useless OC but no quarterback coach to just work with Sam? That drives me insane. Like, you watched it today when Trent Green called Dowell Loggins, the offensive coordinator. He was sitting there, no papers in his hand. He's kind of like hanging out. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and watch coach keep fucking up this game plan. Like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. He's got no value, man.
He's ready with the challenge flag. That's his job.
He's helping me. He's making Mike White a better quarterback. So he can be our backup quarterback. So Tyson and Kev ready to throw in the towel with Darnold and go Trevor Lawrence? Nope. No. Neither one of us are.
Not me.
But I will say I am now legitimately concerned though. Like I fear the rest of the season with Sam that he's going to get to the point where there's no turning back with him. We're like the Jets as an organization will not buy into him and believe in him, and they're gonna make a move. That's my fear going forward now.
Forget what you think the Jets are going to do. If this season goes as we think it's going to go, we get the number 1 pick. Are you taking Trevor Lawrence right now?
I don't know. Who's the coach?
You're obviously going to get rid of Adam Gase. If you have the number 1 pick, Gase is not coming back next year. So it's a new coach. Are you giving that coach the authority to take Trevor Lawrence, or how does that work?
I don't know. Right now, I'm torn, dude. Like, I'm not liking what I see at Darnold right now. I'm really concerned. Like, I have 13 more games of this. Like, it's concerning. It really is. Like, you almost want to say, you know what, we almost got to start fresh. But like, you know what?
But did you
what you can get and come with a new
honestly
coach?
Expect any different though?
Well, I mean, this dude, we came in knowing there's always going to be problems. Like, we were saying this, the Jets are destroying Sam Darnold, and guess what? It's happening. So now we're actually seeing it. So at what point do you become like the Arizona Cardinals and say, you know what? Fuck you, Josh Rosen. You're out of here. I want Kyler Murray. It worked out pretty well from them, didn't it? At some point, you guys had to put the big boy pants on and be like, you know what? We fucked up. Let's cut our losses here and just try something else. It worked for them.
But the losses you describe, they're self-inflicted. And I think Sam Darnold's on a completely different career path than Josh Rosen. But I don't know.
Darnold makes these boneheaded plays still because he's got happy feet. They still don't protect him enough in the pocket. He never has all day to throw ever. That's fair. I mean, we watched when Josh Allen played against us. He was actually flat-footed. He had both feet planted and sat and just waited. Phillip Rivers wasn't really touched at all. A lot of we don't have any pass rush in our offensive line, especially now with Fant out. If Becton's out, I mean, God help us. I mean, if our left tackle's out and our backup is going to be McDermott, I mean, maybe you can put, if Fant is healthy, maybe you put Fant at the left side then? Is that what their plan would be? What do you even do? Anybody?
I wish I had an answer. I don't even know. You'd probably have to put Fant on the left side and let Doga stay on the right side because him going to left tackle last year didn't really work out. But
I don't know. I don't know who's calling me a Sam Darnold apologist. I am far from an apologist for Sam Darnold. I've been roasting him for freaking an hour already.
I'll take all the Sam Darnold apologist comments. I'll take them all my way because I'm rightfully defending him. Because to sit here and not acknowledge what this organization has put him through. Again, critique all the bad plays you want, but who do you really blame at the end of the day? Why this kid is regressing?
What if JD is trying to attain the first overall pick, not to acquire Trevor Lawrence, but to ransom a desperate team to all their picks? If that's the plan, to destroy Sam Darnold in the meantime is a terrible plan. Like, that can't be your plan because the damage you're doing to him now is going to trickle into next year, and then you have to worry about his contract and everything else. Like that shouldn't be the shrapnel from this process. Like the process, it's a terrible idea. Now, if you want to get the number one pick and trade it and build around Sam, that's your go for it. I agree with that.
Yeah,
but to tank this way and destroy this quarterback this way, that can't be your process.
Yeah, if you get the number one overall pick, absolutely trade it, get as much help as you can to get Sam. But to actually try to sacrifice Sam, if you think that way, Gase should have been fired long ago before you allowed Sam to go through this.
If we are non-competitive against Denver, Gase needs to go. Completely agree. Friday morning, it's not even a question. They lose Thursday night. There's no defending nothing.
And I think that's why the report came out today from Mortensen, basically planting the seed that if these next two games go as planned,
they're such idiots, dude. Like when I saw that come out, like, oh, Jets executives are leaking that to appease the fan base. Because the only thing you're doing is making us look worse. Have some balls and should have fired him last week. Like, don't leak stories out. Like that's so like amateur hour piss ass organization.
I agree, but if once your owner comes out and supports the head coach, how do you make a decision to then fire him 5 days later? They weren't going to do that and embarrass Chris Johnson after giving him a vote of confidence. So this is his final chance. They're giving him 2 games. Today was game 1. He completely shit the bed. The offense completely shit the bed. No life, no effort. So now Thursday night, that's your last chance. Show us something. Get this team to buy in. If it doesn't happen, Friday morning, see you. They planted the seed. Yeah. I have no issue with it.
There's no doubt. I mean, that'll be our show Thursday night. Like, this guy should be fired immediately. You guys were in a cool chat. Thanks. Finn, listen, it's cool chatting with the Dolphin fans, the Bills fans. We got some Patriot fans. We had Broncos fans, all kinds of stuff. We just like talking football, man. We are not experts. You're never going to hear any X's and O's shit from us because I really don't know X's and O's that well. I just don't care that much.
I think we have more Dolphin and Bill fans than we do Jeff fans at this point.
That write-up on Arthur Smith from Tennessee is the only thing that gives me any optimism, but I still don't think Joe D wants to fire Gase. How could he not? How can you watch this week in and week out and see how this team is playing and the backlash and all the problems you have? The players don't want to play for him. That right there is alarming. Your quarterback is going backwards. Your offense is the worst of football. That's enough for anybody in any organization to be like, you know what, this guy's got to go. I think Joe Douglas sees it. I don't think he has no power.
But no, he can create his own power. Like I've been saying, he would by far absolutely win any power struggle, him versus Gase or even versus ownership. Ownership knows he's the one respected football guy in this organization. That's why they brought him in. He still has that reputation right now. If he continues to align himself with Gase, yes, that might change. But right now, he's the one football guy in this organization. So if he puts his foot down and says, you know what, enough of this bullshit, I'm not aligning myself with it anymore, yes, he would absolutely win a power struggle.
People think Mahomes would come to the Jets and be brilliant, or Jackson or Allen, no matter the coach. That's true, Lauren. That is very true. And they don't realize that this coaching – no, they think that, but I don't think that because I know how bad this organization is. You put Josh Allen on his team, he would not be doing what he's doing right now in Buffalo, or Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson, or everybody else, because those organizations actually built around their young quarterback. They brought in a good coaching staff. They have a plan and a blueprint. The Jets have no blueprint. We don't even know what direction we're going. We have no identity. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. And that's the problem. And that's why we have that's why this is a complete dumpster fire.
Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, the list goes on of young quarterbacks that have entered a perfect situation, offensive-minded head coach, GMs that go out, get them number one wideouts, all of it, and we have done nothing to help Sam. That's why, again, I cannot, for the life of me, I can't ship him out yet. 3 games into the season at age 23, I can't do it. Acknowledge the bad plays, but to talk about shipping him out, tank for Trevor, I can't do that yet.
Remember when y'all thought a lot of y'alls it must be an upstate New York. Remember when y'all thought y'all were better than the Bills? We never said we were. We actually said the Bills were 2 years ahead of the Jets in the rebuild process. We've actually given the Bills a lot of credit. We haven't bashed them at all.
I was going to say, I don't remember one point this offseason where I thought the Jets were better than the Bills. I thought maybe a year away, before we traded Adams and before CJ Mosley opted out, I thought maybe we're a year away with, a solid draft class if they really step up this year, but they've all been injured. Solid free agent class, haven't seen much from that. So no, at this point, yes, we're probably 2 years away, if not longer. We've never denied that.
If you could say one thing to Christopher Johnson's face, what would it be? Sell the team. That's what I would say. Sell the team. Please sell the team. That would make me happy. The Johnsons were out of the picture. I'd like them to sell the team. I can't take them anymore.
I would say just acknowledge you don't know football. Stop trying to kid us into thinking that you know what a brilliant offensive mind is. Stop trying to, kid us into thinking that you know what good football is, because you don't. You don't come from a football background. I'd say at least 90% of the fans know football more than you do. So to try and sit up there on a podium and say that, Gase is a brilliant offensive mind, he's coaching football to where it's going, you don't know that because you don't know football. So stop trying to sell that shit to the fans. You look
Jets
stupid.
have no impact players except for Becton. That's the problem. That is we just talked about this. Like you say, okay, who are our building blocks for the future? 2020 is a complete shit show, but we have 2021. We have this. Okay, well, we have Becton on offense, and P. Ryan looks like he has a little burst. The offensive line, we don't really know. I mean, maybe McGovern, I guess, is going to be a guy that you keep around. I mean, that's what Herndon's still unknown. Griffin sucks. Wesco, they don't do shit with him. And on defense, you have Quinnen Williams because of contractually you have to keep him, and he showed a flash last week. Who else? Who are the guys that we're all proud of here? Like that we're like, all right, these are all building blocks.
Even P. Ryan, I'm not totally sold on. I mean, what has he really done? More so than some undrafted free agents like we've seen with Robinson and Jacksonville and some others to justify a third round pick. All these draft picks, other than Becton, I mean, even Braden Mann, I guess you want to throw him in there. What are draft picks?
Punters now. We're talking punters now.
Exactly, that's what it's come to.
Shit.
What have these draft picks shown us?
Every game is not competitive. They're not beating anyone this year. That was an out-and-out embarrassment. I don't know what they were on. They look like little leaguers out there. No arguments here, man. And it's no effort. There's no game plan. There's no. You don't like the offense did some things like, all right, there's some rhyme or reason. Like the scripted plays worked. They did some good things. They made some positive plays. They got barriers going a little bit. And then they would do things. You're like, what are we doing here? And then they're down by 20 points. They're still running Frank Gore. Like, what are we doing, Frank Gore here? Like, there's no need for that. And the one thing I noticed too, this is how you tell this team is just don't give a shit about anybody. Usually when your running back gets smashed, the guys run up, pick him up, bring him back into the huddle. Yep. Frank Gore is sitting there looking around like, dude, nobody's picking me up. Like, where are my teammates at? Dude, it's a bunch of individuals that don't give a shit collecting checks. That's all it is. And the other thing, too, I guess Greg then wrote and came out and said, I don't know how fans could be I gotta bring this up because I saw this. My friend just texted me this, and I want to see what the hell this says. That Greg Van Roten just said something about the fans, and I'm yeah.
I'm
watch.
I'm gonna check it out right now.
It's right here. Let's see what he said. Greg Van Roten, to fans that are calling for Gase's head, I never really understood that. I was on a team last year. We fired a coach. It's not like we started winning games. You go further in the tank. I'm not sure what that solves, but I get the frustration. All right.
Yeah. I mean, he can go with him then. What the fuck do you know? You've been here for 3 weeks, dude. What the fuck do you know about this organization to the fans calling for his head? Yeah,
I never really understood that. I guess he's trying to defend his coach. I mean, where got playing better? Like, I don't know. I just
do you realize why we're calling for his head? Holy shit, man.
Could you imagine if they benched Darnold for Flacco on Thursday? The screams for Jet fans will be heard across the East Coast. I mean, I honestly believe once Flacco is healthy, if Sam starts having bad games and Gase is the head coach, they will pull Sam. I guarantee you they will. Because Adam Gase will look for scapegoats. Be like, you know what? I'm giving my young quarterback a breather. I'm trying to salvage him. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm bringing a veteran leader, a guy that won a Super Bowl. You can see that, dude. You can so see that happening.
You don't let him do that. Because he's already shown you in his rookie year, he went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. They went to overtime. Packers, rookie year. So he has shown you, again, albeit in flashes, not consistently, he has shown you he can be a franchise quarterback. Stop putting this on other people. Stop trying to find your scapegoats. Joe Flacco should not be quarterbacking any games for the Jets at age fucking 37 or whatever he is.
Who is the worst coach, Kotite or Gase? They asked us that last week, too. And to me, this answer is obvious. This is Gase because Kotite didn't ruin a young quarterback. Gase he's ruining your franchise quarterback, your prized possession. The reason why Gase was hired, he's failing it, and now he's failing the quarterback. That's my opinion. I don't know.
No, and I agree. And again, like I was a little bit younger during the Cotai years. I was only 6 and 7 years old, so I didn't know as much about football at the time. But yeah, he didn't have the franchise quarterback. Adam Gase was brought in here specifically to build up his young quarterback. And he has not done anything at all to help him, not with his play calling, not with his schemes. And you could also point the finger at McCagnon and Joe Douglas for the talent that they brought in. That's fair. But Adam Gase was supposed to elevate offensive talent like we see Kyle Shanahan doing, and he hasn't done that. He hasn't done it at all.
I love this comment from New Jersey Lauren. Gase has never built up a young quarterback and has never created an elite quarterback. And that's why when he was hired, we were so pissed off. Because this whole and the furthermore is the Jets owner doubled down 2 weeks ago, calling him a brilliant offensive mind. And he's never proven that anywhere.
But not just hasn't he built up a young quarterback, he hasn't built up young tight ends, young running backs, young offensive linemen, young receivers. No, all of those guys have gotten better once he has left. Like we talked about earlier in the show, Devontae Parker, Kenny and Drake, Mike Gesicki. The list goes, Ryan Tannehill, the list goes on of players that leave Adam Gase and go on to bigger and better things. What more do you need to know? That's the biggest indictment that there is. And this is the second time now that it's happening.
If you could do it again, would you take Becton or a high-profile wide receiver like Judy? I would take Becton because that could be your franchise left tackle for the next 10 to 15 years, which you desperately need, as proven today. You got to rebuild your offensive line. I mean, that's –
well, here's how I'll answer that. I would take Becton, yes, but I also would have at least considered the option of, 1, trading for Trent Williams, or 2, trading future draft picks to be in position to take some more of these wideouts. Because you had Brandon Ayuk score a touchdown today, had a big game. Justin Jefferson with Minnesota, he had 175 yards and a touchdown. He was a late first-round pick. There were so many wideouts. If you traded Jamal Adams early in the process, you could have had the Cowboys' first-round pick, taking CeeDee Lamb. There were so many different options and different avenues for you to get wide receiver help, and you didn't explore any of them. So I love the Becton pick. I think he's going to be an anchor on this offensive line for a while, but you still had options to go get your wide receiver, and you didn't do it, and you pushed it off to next year, and it looks ridiculous right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I would have traded up. We talked about it we did draft shows like, hey, trade up and get this guy, best wide receiver class in recent memory, all this stuff. And they just, I mean, that's
even the Bills with Gabriel Davis. He's putting up numbers, late round pick.
Tyson, how would you like to be the head coach in prime time? How would you like to be the OC? Oof. I can't. I'm not mature enough for that. I'd be cutting players. Like on the field, I'd be cutting players. Like you're out. I would never be able to handle it. There's no way.
I mean, at the very least, I think I would have Sam Darnold headed in the right direction as offensive coordinator. But
how about hiring Chad Pennington? He's actually coaching somewhere. Was he coaching high school or college? Where's he coaching at?
I think he was coaching high school actually, but
yeah.
I know he was doing some Jets pregame or postgame stuff also. But yeah, I mean, if he's out there, why not? Quarterback coach, brilliant offensive mind, an actual brilliant offensive mind. Why not?
Let's see. When was the last time we had a GM who was involved in bringing in their own coach and staff? It's a ton of arranged marriages.
Well,
yeah.
McCagnon was involved with the Adam Gase hire. I don't know how much, final say he had. I feel like that kind of came down to the Peyton Manning phone call and kind of being swayed that way. But, I mean, at least he was involved with it. But, again, he's not the football guy that we tout Joe Douglas to be. So this should be Joe Douglas's decision. If he's going to continue to align himself with Adam Gase, he should go down with the Adam Gase ship. Otherwise, separate yourself, bring in your own head coach, and be judged that way.
And this falls on ownership. Ownership has mismanaged this for years. This has always been the problem. When they fired McCagnon after the draft, after free agency, how they handled with Idzik and Rex, like all these things, man. It's just ass backwards after ass backwards. And this is why we are where we are. You're one of the worst teams in football, one of the worst rosters in football, with all these there's just so many problems here.
Another one.
I think it's so funny, Malcolm. I'm getting texts like they're like, "Is your buddy drinking?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's drinking." I just put mine in a blue cup. I hide mine. That's all.
Like 5 down already the last hour. This isn't good.
No new head coach wants to inherit Sam Darnold. I don't agree with that. I mean, you got to see what Sam is the rest of this year. You also got to say, I mean, he was the reason why Joe Douglas came here. Like Joe Douglas was actually happy to work with him. Like people, that's why Adam Gase wanted to work with him. Like, oh, Sam Darnold's like this young hot prospect. He's got all the arm talent. He's smart. He can do all these things. It's just
The Sam Darnold slander is the one thing that's pissing me off. I can handle the losses and all that, but the fact that we're just throwing this kid under the bus, ready to move on, what's going to change if we take Trevor Lawrence, honestly?
How can Joe D look himself in the mirror or his players in the eye and say he did everything he could to help this team? He can't. He and Gase are working together to tank this team. I'm not sure if they intentionally worked to tank this team, but I think they took some calculated risk and it blew up in their face, and they're paying for it now. And the injuries aren't helping either. I mean, these injuries are it's insane at this point.
Yeah, and I also think the philosophy did change a little bit once you could get 2 first-round picks and Jamal Adams kind of forced his way out, and then C.J. Mosley opted out. You look at the defense, you're like, what are we going to get from this defense? Probably not much. And then, all the injuries started happening. You're down to pretty much nothing at wide receiver. So you start asking yourself, well, do we trade future draft picks? Do we start giving away future cap space that we can spend to try and help things now? And I think Joe Douglas. I don't want to say Adam Gase wants to tank because he knows his job's on the line. Yep. But certainly Joe Douglas. This is an evaluation year, and he's trying to, I think, prove that Adam Gase can work with certain things and build this team up, and he's not proven that at all.
Kevin and Tyson, do you guys think we'll still be alive when the Jets get to play a Super Bowl?
No, I'm not that.
I doubt it.
I'm not that lucky.
No, there's no way.
I'll definitely be 6 feet by the time that happens.
Let's see. Bills fan here. Watching what is happening to Darnold at the Jets is like watching what I expect the Bills to do to Allen. What org changes need to happen for the Jets to not ruin the next quarterback?
Fire the head coach now.
Immediately.
And again, I get it. It's a short week. Probably don't want to do it with the Thursday night game. Who gives a fuck? Jim Bob Cooter, at the very least, he knows the playbook. Maybe he calls some different things on game day. Give him the chance. Anybody in Sam Darnold's ear at this point is better than what Gase has been doing. They've shown nothing under him. They've been lifeless. Put somebody else in his ear. See if that can boost his confidence just a little bit, and see what you get from there.
Yeah, and you need a legitimate coach, like a prominent head coach that's strong culture, accountability, respect, credibility, all that stuff. Put playmakers around them, and I mean it's
problem is you're not going to get that mid-season though.
Nope, that's the problem.
Yep.
No, it's. I can tell you firsthand, being a 49er fan, that your head coach is everything. I went through some tough years before we hired Jim Harbaugh, then got Kyle Shanahan. A head coach brings a culture. Listen, we went through it with the Jets. I mean, I'm an older fan. We went through it with the Rich Kotite years. You brought in Parcells. Shit changed immediately. Overnight, things changed. You went from like one of the worst teams of football to 9-7, but you played physical, you played fast, you played hard, you had no excuses. The media didn't push you around. Like, you knew you had your shit together. And it's a significant difference.
But even looking just at the quarterback position, it took 6 years. 6 years of playing bad football for Alex Smith to finally get the right guy in his head to help him reach his potential. So, again, the fact that we're giving up on Sam so quick when we've done nothing to help him out, that's the one thing more than anything else that has me pissed off right now. Forget the losses and the team looking, ill-prepared at every single turn. The fact that you're ruining your young quarterback, that's what pisses me off more than anything.
Do you guys think you're worse than the Giants? Yep. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. And the most important reason why is I think this team is quitting on Gase. He's in over his head, and they all know he's going to get fired. So they're going to start mailing it in, and they're going to destroy things even worse. With the Giants, Joe Judge is kind of hardcore. He's kind of strict, implementing his system, got a lot of things going on. I definitely think we're worse, though.
Yeah, Giants lack talent, but at the very least, they're somewhat disciplined. They play hard for Joe Judge. You can respect that. We don't see that right now with these Jets teams. These are double-digit losses that are not even close. And again, it's limited effort, and there's nothing as far as adjustments or anything that gives you any kind of confidence going forward.
No, bless Austin. Bless Austin doesn't deserve the word number 31. Only recognized Aaron Glenn and Crow.
Wow.
Well, Aaron Glenn's my favorite player of all time, and Cromartie's a fan favorite. I mean,
Bless had a bad game, but he's a 6th-round pick. I don't know what more you really expect from him. The fact that we have him in that starting role right now, again, is highlighting all that we didn't do to improve the cornerback position and a lot of other positions this offseason.
How are you going to dunk on P. Ryan? Gase doesn't give him any carries. That's you, prime time. I didn't think I think he's all right. He showed some bursts. I like to see him get like 15 carries to see what he can do with it, get the ball in his hands. But now they're going to feature Balaj, who jumped. Why did he jump up like that? What was he trying to do here? I think he's now officially a member of the Jets, but shit like that.
He's following the Ashton Davis school of hurdling. No, listen, I'm not trying to dunk on P. Ryan. I just think that his ceiling is kind of limited. I think he's probably got the ceiling of a Sean Green where, he'll make a few big plays here and there when it's there. But, as far as being a guy that's, going to take one to the house or bringing anything dynamic to the table, I don't think he brings that. And so when you invest a third-round pick in a guy like that, I think you're expecting a little bit more. Kamara was a third-round pick. You've got undrafted running backs like Phillip Lindsay and Robinson with Jacksonville that, are doing pretty good things. So, if you're going to take a running back, especially that early in the draft, I think you're expecting a little bit more. And so I know he's a little bit injured. He's got the ankle right now, probably not playing at 100%. So it's early, but I just don't see enough from him yet.
We need to let Joe Douglas select the next head coach and start to build a decent coaching staff that we are confident can rebuild this team. Jets won't succeed until the staff musical chairs ends. Obviously, I mean, it's not ideal to keep firing coaches every 2 years, 3 years. Just, stop hiring bad ones. I mean, it's just like you hire, if you think about what happened here, Adam Gase was run out of Miami for a lot of concerning reasons, and the Jets felt okay with that and said, let us hire you. After you just melted an organization down in Miami, you alienated players, you had all kinds of problems. You sound like the fit for our organization.
Matt Rule, Mike McCarthy, Cliff Kingsbury, Todd Monken,
Frank Reich. I mean, that was a couple of years ago, but they've had in their office a lot of quality coaches that they did not hire, which is just let's see, we got now we're going to remember all the off-season work and consulting the Johnsons did only to come up with McCagnon and Bowles. I mean, I remember they said that was what was it, Charlie Casserly and Bill Polian? Yep. We gave him credit for that. I actually gave him credit for that. I'll be honest. I said, football guys making football decisions, they're going to find it. And when McCagnon was hired, everybody gave him credit because he has such a scouting pedigree. Where it's like, oh, this guy knows he's like a workaholic and he studies college guys and all this stuff. And I like the Bulls hire. I admit I liked it when they hired him, so I can't really say anything about that.
Yeah, and at the very least, that first year, it gave you some level of confidence that, all right, maybe these guys have something. Every head coach and GM hire early on at least gave you something. We have seen nothing right now from this regime, both GM and head coach. We've seen nothing yet through a full year plus.
Jets points against 94-37 offensive mind. Oh, it's offensive, all right. It's just not in the right way. I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to even talk about a lot of stuff because you just see, you just see all the problems and you see where most of them are originated from. They come from the freaking head coach. And it's like now, it's only a matter of the locker room sees it. Everybody sees it, man. They're not playing for them. They're not buying in. You keep adding in losses and there's no accountability where there's no repercussions for losing. Right now, there's not. Like, they lose. Okay, you lost. No big deal. See you at practice tomorrow. We're going to walk through it. We'll figure it out. We'll watch the film. That's it. There's no fear factor here.
No, because I also think they're kind of watching their back. They're worried about what players might say in the media. They don't have anybody, good to replace them. I think there's a number of things that go into it. But again, when you're trying to, instill a new regime that's all about culture and everything, allowing these guys to go out there with no effort, it's shameful.
Do you think the Jets might start Flacco Thursday if they screw the pooch fire Gase since they can't blame Sam? No, I mean, they did that. Oh, Jesus Christ, the backlash would be insane. Is Flacco even cleared to play yet? Like, fully? Is he clear?
I don't think so. I think he may have started to practice this week, but yeah, he's definitely. I don't think he's.
He was inactive today. I know that.
Yeah. So I don't expect him starting anytime soon. And if you actually allow Gase to make that decision to bench Sam and start Flacco, that shouldn't happen.
I think. I'm telling you, man. See, once Flacco is active on the game day roster, shit gets interesting. Because then I worry about Gase being the prick that he is and make it. You know what? I had to make a change. I had to give the team a spark. Because we all know Mike White ain't gonna fucking do it. I mean, Mike White shouldn't be the goddamn on the team. Him and Fales are both wasting roster spots, which that's a Joe Douglas issue, which I'll wait for the offseason to get into. Right? And we have two guys that we know both suck that we're gonna keep on the roster anyway when we need wide receivers and linebackers and corners and everything else.
You don't let Gase make that decision. I'm sorry. Shouldn't happen.
I called it first, man. But I'm also calling that Blake Bortles is going to light us up, too. So I have two predictions.
That might be the best thing, though.
Got to watch the film. A Blue Striped Tiger. You're going to be hanging out with Adam Gase doing that? I hate when he says that. Let's see.
Answer for everything.
Every Jets fan should have a second favorite team to root for because nothing is going to change anytime soon. Why stress over an organization that doesn't care? Give it another 10 years before they do anything. It's easy to say that, man, but we're all fans that follow this team. Like, listen, everybody says the same shit. Like, if you trade away Reeves, I'm never going to watch this team again. Or if you trade away Keyshawn Johnson or John Abraham, or if we lose this game, I'm never going to watch it. They lose to a winless Bengals team. like we all say the same shit, man. And the following week, we're in front of the TV watching the team. It's just we're fans. We want to be a part of it. We're all part of it. So we want to wait for that one day where it's like it all turns and we go on that magical ride that we all desperately deserve.
Yep. We've all invested enough time, money, effort, tears, all of it, at this point to not be rewarded if it eventually does turn around. Obviously, me being 32, you getting up there in age a little bit, not being able to see anything.
Damn, taking shots at me now?
I'm just pointing out facts.
No. Hey, man, if you ever want to come down for some boxing or something, man, we can do some boxing and kickboxing. I'm more than willing to talk about age.
I'm ready. But yeah, again, just not to be rewarded with anything at this point. Again, me personally, 32 years in, I've seen a couple playoff games at home, and that's it.
The TD Sam threw shows he has the talent. Just got to get him away from Gase. Listen, he made 2 touchdown throws last 2 weeks where you're like, holy shit, that's awesome. But then he throws the interceptions. He misses some passes. You're like, you know what? The one thing going into the season, we said you got to be more consistent. You want to see a more consistent footwork, techniques, game management, all these different things. And he's still a bit inconsistent for a variety of reasons, which is the problem.
Yeah, again, Sam's career pretty much has been, flashes versus consistency. Obviously, you want to see him more consistent, but he shows you the flashes all the time that he could be great. It's just a matter of getting the right pieces around him. I still think, at least. I know some people want to get him out of town. They don't think he can do it all by himself. I think eventually he will get to that point, especially if he has the right voices in his ear. But right now, you're giving him nothing to work with. To expect anything different.
For you guys that are watching us on Facebook, Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. For everybody watching this now and interacting with us, we definitely appreciate it. This is, it's definitely the kind of therapy, man, because I was raging pissed about an hour and a half ago. I was just kicking shit and moving things and just.
See, I wasn't too mad. I expected this again. I
can't take it. I can't take losing, dude. Like, I can't take it. Like the only thing you look forward to in the games now is watching Sam play. He's your only glimmer of hope, and then you watch him shit the bed, and you're like you can't 13 more games of this shit. So where is our pass rush on defense? I have no idea. Jordan Jenkins got hurt. I'm like, oh Christ! I'm like, that's terrible. Then it's like he's not doing anything anyway. The Colts offensive line is very good. They manhandled the front seven. They just did work on us. But there is John Franklin Myers showed something. Basham had a little bit. Jenkins hasn't done anything. There's really not much going on there. Would Frankie Louvo even play anymore? Whatever happened to him?
I think Bryce Huff had at least one nice rush, but that was pretty much it. Yeah, the pass rush was pretty much non-existent. Quinnen Williams, he was the guy last week. Didn't do a whole lot this week. We already talked about him and Henry Anderson dropping back into coverage at one point. I don't know what the fuck we're doing on defense.
Here's Gase swears that this isn't his fault. He blames everyone but himself. The play calling was so obvious. First play was a run. Second play was a drag. Third play screen. Fourth play Sam escaping punt. That's the one thing. The one thing you always take away from the Adam Gase press conference, especially after the game, it's always everybody else's fault. And his first 4 answers always include Sam and the end zone interception. It's all he kept talking about. It's never the way you're a leader. We talked about this last week too. Is you say, you know what? I got to do a better job calling plays. I got to make Sam Darnold feel more comfortable. I got to work with my quarterback to fix things. It should be how I fix things for my team, not my team is fucking up and I got to try to help them. You know what I mean? It's like he kind of pushed everything away, but it's all your fault, and I'm just going to sit here and try to help you fix it.
And again, you wonder why the label of pushing star players out has followed him, and that's why people see, especially NFL players, they can see through all that. Yep. They don't have any respect for him at all.
Joe Douglas hasn't shown his face in weeks now. I don't want to see his face. I can give a shit. Instead of showing your face, how about you do tryouts every day and bring in new talent? Find a way to improve this roster.
Well, they're doing that. They're just doing tryouts at offensive line, at linebacker, and the positions.
Yeah, bringing in former Dolphins.
God.
Let's see. This is a real common one. We're getting a lot of this.
Yep.
The only thing about Bieniemy, and I know Bieniemy is the fan favorite, but that's another first-time head coach with the environment that we're currently in right now, where everything's a complete disarray. Are you comfortable with that, or do you need to have a prominent, experienced head coach that can control the media, can control the fans, can control all this, and can control his team? Have that instant credibility and accountability in the locker room.
That would be the ideal hire, but who is that guy that you're bringing in? Can you bring in a Jim Harbaugh?
I could. I take that chance. I would definitely get. I would, at this point, I'm so desperate. I would take that chance.
Would he come here?
Pay him.
Again, if you can, absolutely, because I agree with you. That's the kind of guy that we need from the top to kind of set the culture here. It's not going to come from Joe Douglas or from ownership. No, you need it from the head coach. I just don't know if you're actually getting that guy to come to the Jets. So it might have to be a first-time head coach, unfortunately.
Let's see here. Do a few more. Gase and Douglas are friends, so ownership needs to fire Gase. He's reporting to them anyways, so it's an ownership decision anyways. Then they have to let Joe Douglas hire his own coach. I mean, that's obviously what Joe Douglas probably wants to do at some point. He wants to bring in his own coach if this doesn't work out. But, I mean, at this point, I think everybody in the organization knows what has to be done. It just matter who's going to pull the trigger, who's going to actually do it.
Yeah, but at some point, Douglas has to stop playing friends with Gase. And like I said earlier, separate himself from the losing environment, the culprit of why the Jets are losing and why they're an embarrassment, why they're the laughing stock. Separate yourself from it. You want to instill a winning culture? Do it the right way. Stop aligning yourself with Adam Gase. Everybody else in the league, analysts, former players, they all see through his bullshit. So stop aligning yourself with it, and you'll get the respect that you want. You'll be able to turn this thing around.
Pretty sure Sam, Steve McClendon, and the O-line mentioned that the game script was good and players weren't executing. Do they really believe this, or are they not throwing the coaches under the bus? I would say they're not throwing the coaches under the bus because they're being class acts and they don't want the finger pointing to start and everything else. But the other thing is, as leaders in the locker room, somebody's got to step the fuck up in there and be like, listen, man, this isn't going to work for us. Like, that used to be Steve McClendon. He's always a guy that kind of motivated a lot of people, like a real inspirational guy. If his voice isn't working or whatever else, then who the hell is it? Like they have no, like, who are the leaders on this team? Like, people say it was Marcus May. Is he the guy? Like, who's going to rally this team to make them competitive and make them fight? Like, are they going to come out like zombies Thursday night after going 0-3 and being embarrassed for the next 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, at least on the offensive side, I didn't think the script was terrible. They were moving the ball in the first half. It wasn't until that red zone interception where they completely tanked and they were pretty much lifeless. So I don't think the script was terrible, but that also speaks to a larger problem where once you're down, once the other team starts making adjustments, you can't readjust and keep yourself in the game. It's complete tank mode from that point.
Yep. Here's some positivity. If the Jets were in the NFC East, they'd be one game out and in the hunt. It's wonderful. I mean,
feels good.
Do a couple more here, prime time. See, we got your boy Lawrence Cager got a couple catches. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really have much of a choice but to try and feature him. So
let's see what we got here. I remember being so excited when Tom Brady left the Patriots. Now I think how it was our time now. Man, was I wrong. Yeah, you're wrong because the Bills look very good. The Patriots are the same old Patriots. Now they have a different playbook now with Cam Newton. They're finding ways. The defense looks ridiculous. And the Dolphins played inspired under Fitzpatrick. The Dolphins were flying around.
And that's why I didn't get excited at all when Tom Brady left, because this was still the Bills' division to win. They set up their quarterback so much better for success than we've done with Sam, and we're seeing that now.
When do you think they will fire Gase? My prediction is Friday. As long as they lose, I think it's going to be Friday. There's no way they can come back from being 0-4, losing on primetime television. It's right.
No, it should happen now. Give Sam as much opportunity with the new voice in his head as possible. But yeah, on the short week, they'll justify it. Give him another week to at least try and show something on Thursday night, and then after that, yeah, you got to get rid of him if they lose. Just
watched Darnold's press conference. It's sad and disappointing to say the least. This kid's battered and bruised, man. Like he doesn't know if he's coming or going. He's demoralized. He's trying not to expose anybody and call anybody out and point the finger. He tries to take responsibility for himself. But you see it, man. Even his body language, you can see it. It's just like shoulders are slumped down. It's nothing.
Dude, that's I said earlier, that's the one thing that bothers me is how we're just ruining this young kid, his confidence, and just not doing the things to try and surround him with talent, not setting him up for success like these other teams have done with their young quarterbacks. It's nauseating, honestly.
I think Douglas is the right guy. Becton looks like a monster, and drawing is a big reason we're in this mess. I think Douglas and the Harris need to completely wipe out the staff. Yeah, you can wipe out the staff, but listen, keep in mind, Joe Douglas's entire draft class is friggin' hurt. He pretty much banked on Mims to be a contributor this year. Mims isn't even playing. So your plan B and C and D didn't really work at wide receiver, especially with Perriman being out. So
Yeah, I'm still high on Douglas long term, but I mean, yeah, the moves that he's made in the short term last year and then even this year with the draft picks and some of the free agent moves, it hasn't worked out. Just being honest.
Let's see, a lot of when we fire. Now we no longer have an identity on defense to go along with our offensive woes. That's a fact, man. That's the biggest problem here. There's nothing to hold your hat on right now where it's like, all right, we have this. We don't have anything. Like if you want a game plan against the Jets, be like, well, they're not good against the run, they're not good against the pass. They can't run the ball consistently, and their passing game is erratic. There you go. Like, just have fun. Can you imagine playing like Seattle and Kansas City and dude? Could you imagine the ass beans we're gonna take?
Oh, we're gonna get to those games soon enough, so can't wait.
Even Arizona, man, like the teams that are just so much faster, more well coached, and just have like much higher talent than we have. It's just gonna be.
Yep.
Do like 2 more, man. First of all, thank you everybody for watching. We definitely appreciate it. A lot of gotta watch the films on here.
God.
Benigno rant tomorrow. If he watched the game.
Yeah.
He's kind of a. I'll leave that alone. Let's see. Here we go. There's a difference between giving up on Sam and jumping at the chance to take a potentially all-time talent in Trevor. Jets have too many misses, Sapp, Marino, etc. The generational talent, Trevor Lawrence, Kev.
Again, I said this Tuesday night, Sam Darnold was in that conversation as a generational talent. Some people, again, like to second guess or, like to question things after the fact. I still remember all the conversations that were being had before the draft about Sam Darnold, where he was supposed to be drafted in that draft class with elite quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. He was supposed to be the guy. There's still, in my opinion at least, there's no reason to question him being the guy. It's just a matter of giving him the right pieces to work with.
What do you guys think of hiring Lincoln Riley as head coach, Bieniemy as OC, and Greg Roman as defensive coordinator? I know it's a dream for all of us, but would you like it? I mean, that's a dream. That would never happen.
Why would Bieniemy leave the Chiefs as offensive coordinator, come to the Jets as offensive coordinator?
Yeah, he wants to be a head coach.
Yep.
Yeah, none of that. I don't think none of that scenario is going to happen.
Yep.
Let's see here. Some excellent comments in here, man.
I got to piss again.
Come on, man. You got 10 minutes. 10 more minutes. We're done.
I can't make it if we're going 10 minutes. Be right back.
This is not fair to me. I'm a Giants fan who's disgusted with both New York teams. Adam Gase is horrible. Darnold is in a lot of trouble. I completely agree. Sam Darnold is in just a plethora of trouble right now because the media is going to start questioning him. The fans are questioning him, and his coach isn't supporting him. The coach is actually making him a scapegoat, which is a bigger problem. So Sam Darnold is in trouble. That is correct. Don't listen to what Primetime tells you. Let's see here. Even if players aren't executing, that's still on coaching. If they're not executing for the 3rd week in a row, it's the coach's job to make them. Completely agree. And that was the point we made last 2 weeks, actually, where Gase keeps talking about the players executing, but he's supposed to be coaching them up and making changes. So the problem you're going to have this week is that you have a very limited practice schedule. You have, probably the walkthroughs Wednesday. They play on Thursday. You're not going to see any changes, but I mean, this is on coaching. A good portion of this is on coaching. Trying to tell the play, it's all about the players executing that, how it falls on the coach.
Yeah, I mean, that's somewhat accurate.
That's what fucking coaches do, man. Coaches watch things and say, okay, you're not doing this right. Let me fix this for you so you can do it right next time. Like, run your route this way, go this way. Don't tackle with your finger, tackle with your shoulder, like shit like that. Like, that's what you do.
Yeah, if you're not coaching to correct it, you're coaching to allow it to happen.
This is a good one right here. Why haven't we had a players-only meeting where the team takes responsibility for itself? Who's the leader? Who's gonna? It's got to be Steve McClendon. That'd be the guy that would do that.
See, but even if they do that, though, like, do they want to do that? Do they want to rally and save this head coach at this point?
Pride, man.
Or do they sense that he's almost out the door? Let's get him out and truly do what's in the best interest of this team and this organization long term going forward. I don't know how players think, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely leaders in there. I think they don't want to lose, man. Because the worst thing it is, like, when you play in New York, the only thing they're getting lucky with, in theory lucky, is that they're not playing in front of fans. Like, if they were there Thursday night and we're all there and they come out and give a quick touchdown and an 80-yard run untouched, they'd get booed out of the building. So they're getting lucky with that. But nobody wants to be in this area and dealing with our shit. Dude, think about how many podcasts are going on right now. All these live stream podcasts, TV shows, because negativity sells. So every newspaper, every website is bashing the Jets as the worst team in football. They're getting some help by the Giants being shitty too, but it's miserable, dude. There's nobody enjoys this shit. There's no way they enjoy it. So they probably have some kind of pride and say, you know what, how do we fight back to at least be respectable? Nothing.
Defeated.
Defeated? Come on, man. Let's see. Brett Favre comments. What are we doing with Brett Favre? Darnold is done.
What?
This is just, yep. Here we go.
And again, this is why it's so hard to develop a quarterback in this town. The second they start to play poorly, we're ready to move on to the next guy. And I just don't know what would change under Trevor Lawrence, to be honest.
If Sam plays well on Thursday, but the Jets lose a close one, does Gase still get fired? Probably not.
He should be.
He should be, but would he? I mean, that would be like the problem is, in theory, he should get fired tomorrow, and that would just don't give him a chance to save his job. Like, don't give him a chance to say, like, just cut the cord tomorrow and be done. But they won't do that. See, now you're stringing him along where he has a chance to kind of say, hey, you know what? We're making progress here.
Yeah, but if they lose Thursday night, you're 0-4. What more are you waiting for?
Yeah, but if Sam throws for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns, they lose 31-28.
You're still the head coach, as we talked about earlier in the show. You're still the head coach. You oversee the entire team. So even if your defense plays poorly, you don't get a pass for that. You're the head coach. You oversee everything. So if the defense plays like shit, that's still your responsibility. You're the head coach.
So if the Jets win on Thursday, do you think Gase will stay? The worst situation you want is where it's a week-to-week thing with him. It's like, all right, you lost. He should be fired. He should be fired. He's not the answer for the organization. Don't string him along.
Yeah. Once you start to have those conversations, it's only a matter of time before there's that awful loss and he's eventually gone. So again, like you just said, why string it along? The whispers are already coming out. The rumblings within the organization, they're truly evaluating him now. Just get it over with. You're not winning anything with him long-term. Just move on. Try and see if you could salvage Sam.
Why even draft a top 10 quarterback if you aren't going to put any talent around him? Yep. I mean, that's what we said. We said this earlier. Is like the Jets have made a new blueprint of how to destroy a quarterback. You give him a shitty coach, a coaching change to a bad coach, no playmakers around him. I mean, they've done everything completely wrong with him.
An embarrassment. Couldn't have done it worse. From the coaching to the playmakers, all of it. That is exactly how you ruin a quarterback.
This is a great comment. What is the fancy X's and O's defensive terminology for when the Jets defense releases the best wide receiver uncovered 20 yards down the field? I don't know.
I believe that's what we call a bust in Jets X's and O's terminology.
It's when coverage and tackling become optional, which is it's ridiculously embarrassing. Let's see. Gase is 0-8 as a head coach in primetime games. He's going to be gone on Friday. I'm down for that. Let's do it. I mean, it would definitely help. How hard is it for us to sign players when no one actually wants to play for us? Do players have a choice, or is it money orientated? Well, it comes down to if you have a winning culture, you have a prominent head coach, you have players that recruit you, like Jamal recruited Le'Veon Bell. There's a lot of things that go into it. And then if you don't have any of that, you pay the Jets tax and you overpay for a guy to bring him here. And then like Anthony Barr, sometimes they don't come anyway. They back out on you. So
I was going to say, to a certain extent, yes, money can talk, but when you're in this situation, 0-3, legitimately the worst team in the league, to expect to get guys like Des Bryant or Antonio Brown or anybody like that, why would any of those guys with talent want to come into Jets? They won't.
Clean house again, including Darnold. Woof. Why are you so high on Douglas? He's Idzik 2.0. Fant and Van Eaton. Oh, Jesus. They're just guys that just roasting everybody, man.
I mean, listen, he might be Idzik 2.0, but I'm not going to make that distinction after one off season. I'm going to give him at least the opportunity to, try and use some of these draft picks, that he got from Jamal Adams, see if he could build around Sam. But if he takes another quarterback next year and tries to do it that way, I'm going to be pissed.
Update on Becton is it's a shoulder, but they didn't say which shoulder it was. It was the one he injured in practice, or it's the other one. So we don't know. But I mean, the problem you're gonna have with him is that's a short week. So do they push it? He's a tough kid, but do they kind of like push him to play, or they don't play? And that's your freaking left tackle, which is a problem. Why wait until Friday for a change? We're known nationally as a joke because of the short work week. Listen, Dan, we're with you. We would fire him tomorrow morning, but the short work week, the Thursday night game, all that. I don't know if the Jets would do that. I think they'd probably wait. But what do you think, Prime Time?
I still think they should, just based on the results that we've seen, get a new voice in Sam's head as quick as possible. It's clear that under the current circumstances that he's not getting better. So why not make the change as soon as possible? Even if it's in a short week, at the very least, Jim Bob Cooter knows the offense, knows, the plays that they've been working on. He can put something together for this week. I don't care that it's on a short week. Give him the chance instead of Gase, because Sam is not getting better with Gase.
All right, we'll do a few more. Kill more. Who cares about the game versus the Broncos? They're losing that game under Gase. Just get Gase out already. I mean, we agree with you. We all want him out as fast as possible. We all can agree on that. There's no doubt about that. There's no leaders at this point, and that's a fair point, I think, too, man. Like,
and that's troubling when you talk about culture and all that stuff, and you ship out some of your past leaders and you don't replace them at all. Well, this is the product that you get. So I don't know if it's part of the plan to bottom out before building it up again, but this isn't good.
Somebody mentioned Demario Davis. That's another player that we let go, that we replaced him with Avery Williamson. That's Demario's playing at an all-pro level for, he's been lights out with the Saints.
Of course he is.
Let's see here. There's one this is what we talked about before. How about Harbaugh from Michigan?
If he would come here, yeah.
Yep. Got to open the paybook for you. Got to open the page of the wallet for him, though, man. He's gonna want a fortune to come here and deal with this mess. Gase ruined Darnold's potential, unsalvageable.
Whew. I wouldn't say that. I'm sorry. At 23 years old, to say that a quarterback can't be salvaged when he's still showing you the flashes. It's not consistent, but he's still showing you in flashes he can be great. He has that ability. So to say that he's unsalvageable at this point, when you've given him nothing to work with, when you've asked him to put everything on his back, I think that's, a bit extreme.
Why do we have to wait for Thursday? Listen, you don't have to. You can fire him. You can say, listen, tomorrow morning when you guys get in, flying, announce it then. Done, move on. You don't have to. Just the whole short work week makes it kind of a reason why they won't do it. And then you have that prime time stage where it's like they blow it and you pull that, same old Jets nonsense on like the Thursday night package, then he'll be gone.
How are we supposed to do this show Thursday at 12 a.m.? I'm going to be fucking tanked.
Come on. We're professionals, man. Did you hear? We're not professionals at all.
I forgot.
Jets made a blueprint on how to be worse than the Browns. I mean, it's
fact right now.
Yep. Darnold deserves better. Hope he finds luck with a different team. Primetime, your thoughts?
I mean, what do you even say to that? The fact that we're having these conversations about Sam, when literally just a month ago he was our savior. He was the new face of the franchise, and we're having these conversations already about shipping him out. I can't get behind it.
This is the worst Jets team I've ever seen.
Yep.
Our best player is Braden Mann, shaking my head. This is not his fault. It's just a sad truth. Hey, at least Judd Douglas addressed the position. You got a punter.
God.
So all you got left tackle and a punter in this draft class. The rest is to be determined because none of them are playing. We played harder with we played harder with Rex Ryan.
Yep.
I mean, two great runs. They also had they had more talent too on a Rex Ryan when he first got here too. I mean, that offensive line was steamrolling people.
When he first got here, yet the first Idzik year, they had nothing. Rookie Geno Smith.
Yep.
He was throwing to David Nelson and Clyde Gates and whoever else. They won 8 games that year. They went 8-8. He had nothing. So that's how you coach with less talent.
JD inherited a depleted roster, and any talent that they have is injured. Yeah, but not necessarily true, because some of the talent you have is playing, like Pierre Desir. I mean, Van Roten, guys like that are out there. He has some players out there,
and some of the talent that you inherited, you did not bring back. That's
the other thing. He made some decisions. So. Yeah, this was anyone else remember Demario Davis? We actually had him on our show a couple of times. We interviewed him. He's one of my favorite players, man. He was so cool and so down to earth. And he just cared about winning so much. And he loved being a Jet. He loved being here, man.
Yep.
Let's see. Long-suffering Bills fan, I know your pain. I'm glad we have found a very good head coach and GM. And that's the one thing we've talked to Bills fans about. Like, they're 2 years ahead of us. And it could be even more because they have the general manager, they have the head coach, and they have all these parts around Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's getting better. And they got lucky as shit today at the end with that call. But, having Stephon Diggs and everything else, I mean,
I'm so envious of what the Bills have done with Josh Allen, because I still believe Sam Darnold has more talent than Josh Allen. Yet the talent around Josh Allen, including the head coach and especially trading a number 1 pick for Stephon Diggs, that's allowed him to take that extra step. They've catered that offense to what he does well. They let him run the ball a lot, and he's thriving, and good for him, you know.
So prime time, what we'll do is we'll wrap things up here, man. Just your final thoughts before we 2 hours in, another three bad losses in a row. Your final thoughts as we go into, are we doing a wrap-up show tomorrow night? Because maybe he gets fired tomorrow night. Who knows?
Might as well at this point. But yeah, final thoughts. I'm defeated at this point. I'm apathetic. I'm not even all that angry, other than just, again, how they've handled Sam, what they've done to him, what they've done to his confidence. Yeah, Gase needs to go at this point. It couldn't happen soon enough. Get a different voice in Sam's head. See if you could salvage what's left of his career. But yeah, it's a shame that we're having these conversations about a young quarterback with so much talent and already just being ready to move on to the next guy. That's my biggest takeaway from today, and it's such a shame.
Yeah, mine same thing is Gase has to go as soon as possible. The team is quitting on him. There's no preparation, there's no game plan. Greg Williams should get a lot more blame than he's getting. The defense is embarrassing. And I'm legitimately concerned about Sam Darnold now. Not even going to lie about it. I'm concerned. And now this is like a 13-game audition now to see if he's going to keep regressing or hold his own, show some kind of fire and leadership, do something. Because now it's like you got to wonder. And then you wonder about the state of the Jets, how they handle business. They got to worry about ticket sales and the future and all this other shit. And it's a mess, man. There's nothing positive about this. And I'd be nothing happier to wake up tomorrow and say, Adam Gase is fired and we can finally move on and try to like rectify this a little bit sooner. But I have no faith in that happening. And then if they win Thursday night, I mean, fuck, we could be stuck another 3 weeks with this guy. So thank you guys for watching. I guess tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we'll do again prime time.
Yeah, amen.
And then Tuesday night, we'll do another one. Oh, Jesus Christ. We'll talk to you guys later.
Glutton for punishment.
We are.